Listen, we're doing the thing. Everyone can hear us now.
Oh no!
Oh yes. Oh yes. I am too dang excited for this game to want to wait. So we're not waiting. We're just going. We're just doing.
Very excited for Space Ghost.
Same. The way the chokehold this game has on my brain right now, is strong. It is great. I don't know. I've been thinking about the first game a lot and being like, when are we gonna get to the second one? And well, not second, third. When third? And third now.
We are gonna have to try the fan translation of the second one at some point. Just
yeah, we are.
Be a real shame if it were very bad, but
right.
We can't be hopeful. We gotta know for sure.
I feel like if someone's gonna try it, they would do their darndest to make it good. Especially when it comes to, like, I don't know, maybe this is just me being biased, but like a FromSoft game, I feel like somebody would go into it with the respect it deserves. You would hope, at least.
Yeah.
Yeah, so my brain is very shot today. I am incredibly tired. Also in a lot of pain. So preemptive apologies if I get weird. And by weird I mean incoherent. It's fine.
That's normal. No one
yeah, it's no different than usual. It just might happen a little faster. But I am very excited, and I think we'll probably just go ahead and launch the game. I think we'll just do that. Let me get over here and turn off the music and boot.
Kesh has been hyping up the intro cutscene. I'm not see the thing because the intro cutscene might play before everyone gets to see it.
I need everyone to see it. It's a lot. It's great. I was so confused when it first showed up, and at this point I'm just gonna shut up so it can just play. You know, get a little bit Moonlight Sonata in there, and space. What more could you want from your Ghost game?
Hi, Nem.
Hi, Nem. It's also incredibly long. The intro is really long. Just warning ya.
Look at those chunky astronauts.
They're no chunky baby. But I
Could
do
be
kind of
5 chunky babies in there.
Oh dang,
you don't
right.
know.
Thinking about chunky babies piling into a spacesuit. Look at those faces.
This is kind of cool.
Isn't it though? Like I said, when it first showed up, when I was testing the ROM, and I saw Casket Lady in space, I was like, what the fuck is happening? And then this showed up, and I was like, you know what? No, I'm actually here for this. You know what? This is kind of dope. Also, just a really neat cutscene. So yeah, just like before, I'm stupidly excited for this game. I need more people to know about Echo Knight. Let's go. Space
Beyond
Ghosts.
Echo Knight.
I like how it's got that, like, Twilight Zone sort of, like, font effect on it. Hi, Annie. You get
There
your
are
things ready.
3 Echo Knights, by the way, now. There's a second one, but it wasn't ever released officially in English, so we're a bit worried the translation might not be great, and that would really be a problem with the puzzles and stuff.
Yeah, but we will give it a shot at some point. Don't apologize, you're fine.
Yeah.
We will at least test it off stream to see if the translation is good or not. Because like I do genuinely like I think this has officially made it on one of my like on one of my favorite series. Now like I love Echo Knight. I love Echo Knight. Hey. I kind of really like Echo Knight. But yeah. Hello, David. Hi, Annie. Hi, Nem. Hello, friends.
Someone calling my name. My fiance, Claudia, and I were on a space trip.
I'm gonna turn it up just a little bit.
Suddenly, there was an intense shock and roaring sound. A massive shock as the shuttle crashed onto the moon.
Oh no!
When my shuttle crashes into the moon.
All I
Right?
remember.
It's the worst.
I'm slowly starting to come to.
While they're talking, I'm gonna go put the curtain
But
over my
I can't sense that Claudia's here anywhere.
Claudia, where are you? Come to the facility. Also,
I trust Wall. We should go to the facility.
rip it and rip it.
I didn't hear it.
Oh no.
I don't know if I just waited over it or Discord ate it.
Discord probably
Probably
ate
the
it.
latter. Yeah.
Discord,
Jeez,
please.
Discord.
Can I change how sensitive my microphone is? Because it does look like it keeps, like, cutting me off. Which shouldn't be the case. But, you know. Sometimes Discord.
It normally only cuts you off when you make a weird noise.
I get so dang excited and make sounds.
It does cough Devo purrs too, which is
That is-
horrible.
That is tragic. It looks like I can't change the sensitivity of my mic anymore, so that's unfortunate. We'll just
With Discord being crazy
yup.
today. It's fine.
Okay, but no, listen, game. I changed these settings.
Game.
Game, I changed. Listen. I like the noises it makes. No. Game.
Do you have to like confirm it somehow, even though there's no?
Maybe. I tried to hit X and it wouldn't do anything. So I hit circle to go back.
We tried every buttons.
We have not tried every buttons.
Have we
I
tried
go to
okay?
I have to go to... Okay, listen. Game, listen.
Again, if I change the thing and then quit out of the menu, I want the thing to be changed.
There we go. This is a little weird, because it is... The left analog is forward and backwards and turn.
I have played games like that.
And then...
Default
right
controls
analog
for
is
Nightfire was that.
Ugh. I mean, I don't think it should be too much of an issue for the... Oh. We have already found a corpse.
Bits of the cops are not attached to...
Rude. I think that's a robot corpse.
Oh, okay.
That's... Yeah, there's wires there. Oh, it's wiggling! Wires protrude from its neck. Okay. Okay. Okay.
She's fine. She's gonna make it. Don't worry, everyone.
This is her favorite pastime. Also, yeah, more echoes of night. We like
We've
this
taken
thing.
our night echoes to the one place not yet corrupted by capitalism.
As far as we know, if they're going to the moon.
Yeah, it probably is now.
Yeah.
We're going on holiday to the moon. It's been corrupted by capitalism.
Horrible. Terrible. But yeah, just more silly ghost puzzles.
They're coming. They are everywhere.
Do we have subtitles? Moon would be super capitalist, honestly. I don't trust Moon. Not sound settings. No. And controller settings obviously wouldn't have it, but it was still worth a look.
There's subtitles in the cutscenes. It's just a shame we don't get
Yeah.
subtitles for the ambient dialogue.
We didn't really in the other one, did we? Like for any of the spoken stuff. I think.
We did when we talked to people and when it were a cutscene.
Oh! My heart rate is freaking out.
Is
Maybe
this
we go
bad?
this way.
Do we need to take a sit down?
Right? How do I...
They're coming. They are everywhere.
Oh, my heart rate's going down now. Maybe we just take a moment to chill out. Ghost, can you not scare me?
You're still here.
Ghost.
I am still here.
You shouldn't be hanging around here. Otherwise, they'll find you.
Hey, at least we have subtitles when we talk to people.
Everybody will die. You'll die too.
Where's our little laugh? Where's the laugh?
The patented from soft chuckle.
Yeah! I need it. Can't go in here.
They are everywhere.
We have a promise ring?
Nothing happened.
Fucking nerd. Debris blocks the way! Passage is inaccessible. How I...
They're coming.
Trying to figure out how I did that. This is
Oh.
fine. Okay, this is fine. Because I hit, like... I clicked the right analog. And then it talked about the debris.
Oh, that's weird.
But
Okay,
I also...
controls are still weird, but at least we're allowed analog sticks now.
Okay, man is still talking. Can I show the man a picture of my wife? Girlfriend? Partner?
Fiance?
No, nothing happened. You have a med kit? Do you want to look at this promise ring?
Sir, I have a med kit. I'll be fine. Don't worry.
Right? Don't, it's fine. I appreciate your concern, but we'll be fine. This is the way that we came in, right? This is where Bad Robot is.
She's fine. Don't worry about Bad Robot.
I didn't say she wasn't fine. I just said she's a bad robot.
Nothing bad about her. About bad robot.
Can I crouch? We were allowed to crouch in the last game.
Can we go to the
Oh.
facility?
Possibly.
We have 2 levels of torch.
Yeah, that's kind of cool. There's nothing out here, really. It's just all bad over here. Unless... Okay, no. The constant breathing. It's not wonderful. Just the... Like, buddy, you can rest for a minute.
Do we need to sit down? Shall we come back in a minute? Best man.
He won't let me sit down is the thing.
Yeah, there's no sit button.
No. Okay, sir. Let's try and talk to the man some more, because this might be one of those, you get multiple things with dialogue from the same character.
Yeah.
Kind of a situation.
Bring me my flask.
Oh, okay.
I'm no good without it. Bring it to me.
Are you the drunk ghost that we saw in the first game?
To me now.
Sir, I don't have your flask. I don't know where your flask is. Do you remember where you last saw your flask? This does appear to be a bar. What? Oh, if I just look at something long enough.
Oh, that's weird.
Yeah. But hey, the counter has been crushed by a portion of the fuselage. So, that's a thing. Also, I thought I saw a shiny. No. Wait, that's a new text.
The wall is broken.
2 different
My
ways of
car has
saying-
crashed.
Just inaccessible. Okay. Sir, I need you to stop talking to me, okay? Do you think if we gave him the robot leg, he would confuse that for a flask?
We're gonna steal that poor robot's leg.
She's not using it.
I guess.
An empty coffee machine? Also an empty coffee machine.
We
Absolutely
get the ghost
nothing.
some coffee to sober him up.
Right? Friend, have you considered some water? Some coffee? Maybe that's what's in his flask. Maybe he took one from the Alan Wake book and like he's like, you know, everyone's gonna expect me to keep alcohol in a flask. So we'll put the alcohol in a thermos and put juice in our flask.
Alan Wake hides the coffee from his thermos in this guy's flask. And then fills his thermos with wine.
Gotta put it somewhere. Hatch controls are in an unlocked position. Okay, but I can't do anything with it, and I don't want to talk to her again. She was very loud and crackly. See, as well, I just push my face up against things and stand there for a minute. Hole is caved in. Okay, but is there...
I'm gonna open a chat with Uncle Nintendo just in case.
Does Uncle Nintendo know FromSoft? Dang.
Yeah, Uncle Nintendo made Dark Souls 2, Dark Souls 3. We had a Dark Souls 4. That's a Nintendo.
Metal flask. Contents are not quite finished.
Oh, that'll do it.
Also, Uncle Nintendo gets around. Good for him.
Have you heard of Mario? That's Uncle Nintendo.
Dang. I hear Mario's gonna be big one day.
No. Only if he gets one of the mushrooms. That's some gamma humor for you.
If I drop this,
Gammas, no.
everything will disappear.
Only real gamers know. Oh my god.
How about that Donkey Kong? Why is he called that when he's a monkey? It's not why he is.
Maybe he's a donkey in a I was gonna say a Kong suit, but that's not what he is.
He's a donkey in a Kong suit.
He's a donkey in a Kong suit, and that's why they call him Donkey Kong. I read that as frog, by the way.
Beware the frog.
But I like frog. Also, bye, buddy. I kind of liked it better when the ghosts were just translucent, dark shadows.
Yeah. It were probably a choice they made because they were working with, like, the PlayStation 1. They had limited
for sure.
options.
Oh, for
But
sure.
it was kind of good, though.
It was a nice stylistic choice. What did this say? What did it say? What? Sir, I saw a dialogue pop up.
This is weird. This is a weird system.
Yeah.
Game, can we have it so...
Yeah.
Okay.
I wonder
So we need
if...
to click a button to see the text.
No, I just had to look at it in just the right area. I wonder if looking at things, if this is like optional dialogue, this is all the flavor text. Because I had to click on a thing to look at and interact with the flask.
Alright.
So this might just be like, yeah, this might just be like our flavor text. A lovely little, this is optional. You don't need to know about this. I mean, we'll find out eventually. I'm gonna go through this door.
Rather than just saying, this is a table. This is a chair.
Why are my steps like this? That was horrifying. It was bent in its frame. I thought something was running up on me. What are you?
Has he got, like, gum on his shoe?
One shoe is significantly heavier than the other, so he's, like, constantly, like, scrambling around. He's almost tripping. Whoa. Where am I? Is this an elevator? Yes, it is. I can't move.
Okay.
Once you
It's
go
either
into an
an
elevator.
elevator or a broom cupboard.
I don't want to be in either, actually. What's over here? This is horrifying. Oh, I can run!
Nice!
That increases my heart rate, though. Which makes sense. I'm scared about the heart rate thing. I hope that that's just a neat little feature and not something I actually have to take into consideration. Let's turn that to the unlocked position.
Worried it's probably a mechanic.
Same. Oh. Yeah. If our heart rate gets too high, we just explode.
Yeah.
This is fine.
Maybe that's like instead of your health though? So like you just gotta watch your heart rate and it does recover.
Maybe.
But you don't have to like use healing items or something.
Possibly.
Yeah.
Also, I found how to save, which is great. It is going to keep track of my saves. That is not great.
It's fine.
You think we'll get an S rank again?
What rank did we get?
We got S last time.
Did we?
I think so.
Dang.
Pretty sure. It was
They
either
gave us
A
points
or
on a
S.
bunch of stuff. I
Yeah,
remember that.
It's bizarre. I loved it. Just gonna forever wiggle my head around a bit. That appears to be fog. Did just say.
Did we crash in a Silent Hill?
Oh, no. What is happening? I really like the music. Play Ghost! How do I
Is that
turn
bad
around?
ghost?
I'm assuming so.
Yeah, it seems like a bad ghost.
Oh, our poor heart. Oh, our poor heart. This is not the time for cardio. Still
I-
being chased.
I don't like that the bad ghosts look the same as the good ghosts.
Yeah.
I assume it'll be obvious
Yeah.
which they are when the
There will
when the
be-
man starts getting spooked. But
Right. There will be a spike in music and heart rate.
yeah,
Okay, it did enter like the red when it got really high, so I wonder if like if we run for like extended periods of time, that's when we have to use like a health kit or something.
oh yeah, we do have a health kit.
Yeah.
Maybe.
Ghostronaut! You can be whoever you want to be, buddy. I can't go back. Our ship is broke.
He crashed our car into the moon.
I need a new one. What is this? Host radio. Wireless communications device. It doesn't appear to be working. That's tragic. Okay. Sounds like it did a piss poor job of communicating then. Can I look at you when when you're talking to me? Or is man just in our brain? Searchlight battery cell. Oh.
Oh jeez.
Is it only in this mode that it like uses battery?
I hope so.
Oh, that scared me. I don't have like an indicator for battery though. Is it here? Or is this for something else entirely? It doesn't exist here. You have a map though. Oh no.
Oh no.
Oh, oh no.
We have circle, we have lines. This is there's a couple of squares there, I think. We got this. This is fine.
I thus far understand the map, but it's gonna get
Yeah,
bad.
there's gonna be bits going underneath other bits. It's gonna be horrible.
Oh. Oh no. Do you want to see a picture of my wife? You're not wrong, Travis. Everything is labeled. It's great.
Bits of controls map are fine when it's just one like flat area with no elevation.
How often does that happen? Pray tell.
There's a couple of flaws where it's just fine. It's great. And then other flaws where it's crisscrossing tunnels underneath each other, but you can't tell what's on what
Bad.
level.
Bad. Bad. Bad, bad, bad. Yeah. Yeah, but what good is moving with the map open if you can't understand your map?
All the enemies respawn in control. If you move with the map up and they get you while you're looking at the map.
Thank you, Ghosternaut, for moving out of my way. But you can't see all of them, though, because they're hidden under other parts of the map. You cannot convince me that the mapping control was good.
Mapping control is horrible.
It's awful. Don't break. That was rude.
Why?
Wasn't even scary. Can't hurt me. I'm in a spacesuit. What's over there?
Just run serpentine with the map up and I'll get him. It's fine.
What is this? Monitoring system. Listen. I've seen this. Oh.
It's kind of cool.
Is this how we find out if a place is bad? Because that looks like fog to me.
Yeah, is the fog what causes the bad ghosts? Or a symptom of bad ghosts?
I think so. What is this clicking noise?
Just the moon breathing? Some kind of machine, I think.
Yeah, but I want to see it. I can't. It's horrible. You kind of like this, though.
Yeah.
Okay. So that's the work hallway, which we haven't been to yet. This little orange guy is us, assumably.
Is the maintenance man still in the water filtration plant?
Oh, good question. Yeah, he
I'd
is.
assume he is.
That looks like a yes to me. Oh, but there is this other room. Oh, there's a body there.
This is really cool.
I like this. I wonder if we could get into this room. Oh, I can hear him.
I don't think we can be near the ghost. Like for any period of time.
Yeah.
Were they a way into this room from the bridge?
I think so. Hold on. I want to hear him say a thing again. Ah! I don't know if anyone else could hear that.
I don't hear it.
Oh, you can hear like the ghost from the other room going, "Don't leave me alone." It's kind of cool.
The bit where the second camera is, looks like it's way higher up than the bridge we came across.
Yeah. So we might be able to get there from the area above, because there were a bunch of doors up there that I didn't explore. We also might be able to take the work area hallway. It's hard to tell if anything is on a vague elevation, but I think
it's trending downwards. I think it's all downhill.
That's great. Perfect.
Okay.
Well, in that case, I mean, we can only really continue to explore. No! Get me out of here! Please! I was trying to move the dialogue forward, but it's just me looking at a thing. Oh no! Yeah, I mean, I'm curious if we could, like, run across. Or...
We could try.
I'm scared, though.
Please insert card key.
You know what? There's no time like the present. Let's go! If nothing else, this is a good science moment.
Yeah.
We can see if we can continue to move past ghosts, or if this is just a bad place to be for forever. You want me to go this way? I understand.
Can we really not get past these tiny barriers?
They
Oh,
just
never
open
mind.
automatically. I was also gonna be a little upset about that. I mean, I guess we are in a clunky space suit.
Yeah.
Probably can't be as limber as we would want. Sir, I can't get past him. Nope, he's just that's a no-go. Understood.
See. Oh god.
Okay, so we have no time whatsoever from when it hits red to when you die.
It does hit red at 300 beats per minute.
That is, yeah. Yeah, bad place confirmed. But you know what? Like I said, good science. Now we know. It is important to realize how fragile your character is before it gets to be a very, you know, an incredibly important time. How far? Oh. Oh. Oh, we're okay. You know what? Maybe we can look around a little more. You're gonna have to listen to Nikolai talk again. I don't know if there was really anything else that I could explore back here, though.
Yeah, I think it's pretty linear up to this point.
They made a spooky sound. Turn. I am still trying to use the right analog to look side to side, but, you know, it's fine. I figure it out eventually. No door there. Okay, so there isn't really anything back here. Understood. That's okay. Whoa! Wrong way. Man, your heart's freaking out and I need it to stop, okay? Yeah, good job, buddy.
Good job, man.
We like it when our heart doesn't explode. Kind of appreciate it. Okay, you know what? This is fine. Let's go.
Do not be near ghosts. Yeah, it will explode. Pretty much instantly.
So encounters with ghosts are going to be very interesting. as a whole. No, I want to take it. Let me take it. Alright, thank you, sir. You prefer Nikolai or Mr. Ivanov? You didn't seem particularly certain. So, you know. Not going back. You cannot make me look at my partner. I'm only skipping because this is stuff that we have heard him say.
Guy's pretty together for a ghost, except for the fact that I can't remember who he is.
Yeah, but I mean, you know, names are unimportant in the afterlife. Who cares?
Yeah.
You're a ghost now. You can be whoever you want to be.
Raphael Ambrosius Cousteau.
Tequila Sunset, actually. Listen. I can't go this way. I have to go the other way. This is fine. I appreciate that running increases your heart rate, but not, like, very quickly.
Yeah, by a tiny amount.
Right?
Super fine.
We can work with that. Okay, let's go acknowledge all of this again. Don't actually have to look at everything because nothing has changed. Hey, perfect. Look, it's a rest area. Whoa! Get me out of here.
I love rest.
Rest is kind of nice. I think our man needs a little rest. So busy breathing. What's this? Brood is what this is.
It's an air extinguisher.
Oh, dang, it is. Listen, I need your fonts, your typefaces, technically, to be better.
That was a horrible font.
It's horrible. Terrible. Oh, I'm scared. Guide map. Lunar facility map. That just looks like the moon. Oh, it's... Oh, okay. So that way is the energy area. That
right.
way is the spaceport. I thought it was, like, marking areas on the moon, and I was like, that's just the moon.
This quarter of the moon is for resting.
Right? Lower area is closed now. Please don't use escalator until electric power is up.
Okay. Sup, electric power.
Oh no. It's very dark. I mean, this is the only way we can go. Energy area.
Doesn't look
Unless...
inviting here, but there isn't the fog, so possibly fine.
Well, there's no bad music either. It's just...
Yeah, we're fine.
echoing
It's just
footsteps.
spooky here. Normal spooky, not imminent death spooky.
It's the kind of spooky that happens when you come to a spaceport and it's just abandoned. You know.
We found 2 people already and 1 bad robot. What do you mean?
You're right. A sparsely... what is the
Unless
word
we're
I'm
talking
looking
about
for?
living people, then we're
Living people.
not
yeah.
there yet.
Sparsely inhabited area, I guess. What is this doing? What is this charging? I would like to know.
I'm worried there's a limited battery.
Same, but there's like no indication in the menu on my screen.
It's been a while.
Hi, who are you?
What's the matter with you? You look strange. Do I look funny? I've been alone since you left.
Is this wife?
Why don't you
Kept
come to my
moving
room
his
later?
mouth for 5 minutes after his line finished.
Yeah. I wonder if it's if the lines in Japanese are much longer.
Yeah.
Who is this?
Didn't look like a ghost.
It's
But
definitely
he wasn't wearing a spacesuit, so he must be right.
possibly.
Or a hallucination.
I mean, that seems plausible. Oh no. Hello?
It's not the ghost alarm, right?
Trying to interact with it and won't let me. Want to say anything about the R extinguisher? No. Okay. Can I look at this? What is this?
Why is pooping?
Digital calendar. The display isn't working properly, but the calendar seems accurate. So it's 2044. Is it the 8th month and the 13th? Well, yeah, no, it would have to be because there's no 13th month.
Lousy smash weather.
Oh.
Hmm.
I think we'll pass on this for right now.
Possibly bad here.
Think I would like to find a save spot before we try and handle that.
One of those bad lunar fogs is swept in.
It's not the lunar fogs. Not Smarch. Bad Smarch. Observatory. What can we observe here? Hello? Why is it so dark? That's just the moon's surface. Wow. It's beautiful. I want to go. It's locked.
That is a like Victorian Seth on the moon.
Oh no. I'm scared about what's inside. What if it's a bunch of plague-ridden orphans?
Probably. Could be a steampunk hat.
We could put it on, but we wouldn't be able to see it, and I don't know how well it would fit over our spacesuit.
It just keeps sliding off the dome and you have to catch it.
Just constantly pick it up. I don't know where else we can go, so it's through the bad fog, I guess. I think we looked at this hallway, though. No, we didn't. We hadn't seen it. It was fine, though. Hello? I do like that there are, like, areas of varying darkness that, like, require you to use different levels of your flashlight. Hello? Are you a good ghost or a bad ghost? There you are.
Where did you go? Carol, if I can get the electricity back, I can open that door. Carol, mon petit.
I do like that, like, with the nice ghosts, when you first see them, your heart rate goes up, but then it, like, calms down.
Yeah.
It's just, it's
And then you don't get spooked by him anymore.
Yeah.
There did look to be some garbage on the floor there.
Was there?
Walk a bit forward and then turn around.
Oh, okay. Is there, like, a quick turn button? No.
I'm probably totally wrong, by the way, but I thought I saw some crud on the floor. I think I'm totally wrong. I think it was the light on that side of the desk.
That makes sense.
The one bright part.
Look, you caught it, which means that well, it doesn't mean, but I didn't see it, and I will probably miss items if they put them on the ground. So, you know.
Yeah, so I'm always scanning the floor just in case there's some like tiny item there.
I appreciate it. Not the power wash habits. Monthly report logbook! Must have belonged to a worker here. Documents clutter the desk. Can I steal that pen? I like that I can push the chair. It's coming. Just... Bruh, you can't. I will find Carol as fast as I possibly can. I'm an idiot though, and I can't walk properly, so you know. It's gonna take a while. Warning. I thought that was on my helmet. I was like, what have I done?
It's only a yellow alert. We're fine. Could make it a red alert, but we'd have to change the bulb.
That sounds like a lot of effort.
Please enter the date.
Yeah.
Oh.
Ah, shoot.
2044. And it's the 8th month, and 13th day, because there's no 13th month. I don't know if I don't
Entry
remember,
confirmed.
or I don't know how I've remembered this, but you know, it's fine. And look, that should restore all of the power. It's just that easy.
You do the day and the month the other way around in America, don't you?
Yeah.
I understand why that was confusing now.
Well, it's like I always I try to remember that that's a thing elsewhere where it's day then month, not month then day. And so it's like when I was looking at it, I was like, "Why? Okay, like which is this? Which way are we going with this?" And
This is the American version, so you'd think it'd be the right way around, but at least they did the 13th, so like
so
you're gonna work it out. You're gonna remember, oh wait, there is no Smirch.
There's no Smarch. Smarch isn't real, it can't hurt you. Man just
there is crud on the floor.
There is now. It's a video disc. There is a label on the disc. It says "Trip with Dad." Just a kid tripping down the hallway. Where do I watch this? Here? Older model laptop?
I think it said older model laptop computer, and that was all.
Okay. Where am I
It's
supposed
very
to watch?
strange with the text only coming up when it feels like it.
Right? It is a choice that they made that I'm not super feeling, but you know, it's fine. If I step on that, will I die? Disconnected power cable. Don't. No. Okay, if I step on it, I don't die. But also,
Couldn't resist.
I had to know. I needed.
Were you saying no out loud to yourself as you slowly inch towards the power cable?
Sometimes I do try to stop myself from doing stupid things. Not often successful, but I need everyone to understand that I do recognize how idiotic some of my choices are. Don't worry about it. Okay, where are we? We're over here. Battery room? Let me see. Those are... That's goop.
Someone was gooping here. Camera 2.
Oh!
Where are you?
It's a large piece of machinery. We not gonna comment on the ghost?
He's just a big ghost.
Victor.
Ooh. It's Victor. I really like this. Okay, so battery
He's moving
room?
around in there. Yeah, it's probably bad.
Yeah, but it's because he's like moving. I wonder if we could walk, not around him, but like definitely like work with his patterning. He'd probably
Does
chase
seem to be
after us.
patrolling rather than
Yeah. I really dig this.
This is cool.
Yeah. That appears to be foggy. It is not, though. So that's exciting. Oh, we've been in there.
We don't know that the fog necessarily means bad things are gonna happen there, because this corridor's just fine, apparently.
Mm-hmm. I think it's just to, like, you should be more mindful of the foggy areas. Possibly.
Possible.
Yeah. Also, can I... I do have this book. No. Okay. I was hoping I could read it. Like we could read the
Can
other
we not
books.
examine stuff now? That's a shame.
Might not be able to. No. X uses, square and triangle don't do anything, circle backs us out. Spaced out spooks are a good way to build atmosphere. There are so many levels to that comment, and I love it. Whoa. Very good. Okay, where do we want to go, though? I guess we have to go to the battery room, right? That's where the bad ghost is.
It seems like it. It's the only place there's anything going on that we know about.
Yeah.
Do we need a battery? We've got that communicator, right? That don't work.
Yeah. So maybe? At the very least, there's, like, probably stuff around? I guess before we go there, are there doors?
Didn't
Hello?
look like there were a door out. Oh.
I've gone the wrong way. This is fine.
I hate that the map changes completely if you go through the wrong door.
Right? At least it tells you that you've gone the wrong way, though.
Yeah.
So, you know, it could be worse. Okay, so we're in the power transfer room. Assumably. Yes, because it's highlighted as blue. So we want to go to the right? This way? Yeah, battery room. Okay, but before we do that... Yeah! Love me a good sign. Can I look at items here? Yes. No. It just tells us the information.
Triangle to read.
Oh! Hell yeah.
Yeah.
3/31/2040! Power outages and blackouts are becoming a daily occurrence. The equipment is too old to be reliable any longer. A thorough inspection of all equipment is scheduled for next month. 4/30/2040. Inspection of all power-related equipment revealed faulty wiring is the main cause of the recent power outages. We'll ask the director to contact headquarters regarding the problem, but they'll probably just tell us to focus on mining efforts. In the meantime, we're looking into system modifications that will hopefully prevent future outages. 5/31/2040. A strange fog has been appearing in different areas of the facility. Problem seems to be tied to the ventilation system, and the person in charge of the work area, Mr. Datto, has expressed his concern. Other than this, oxygen shortage problems that plagued the facility since its inception appear to have been solved, and mining operations are going well. 6/30/2040. The fog continues to fill the facility, but doesn't seem to have any impact on oxygen levels. Are we not gonna be more concerned about this? They've let the fog go on for a month.
Unless you are shipping in fog from Earth,
Right.
there should not be fog here.
Even if it's not messing with the oxygen, like...
Yeah, the atmosphere inside is very tightly controlled. There shouldn't be fog. That means something's getting in from outside.
Right? No, I don't think this is fine, actually. Hear me out. A report regarding the situation has been sent to headquarters by the director, but the response was just to push ahead with mining operations. Headquarters absolutely knows what's happening. They were here for it. I have a bad feeling about what will happen if things remain as they are. Headquarters wanted to find the fog. and no one
We could have
thought,
been digging for ghosts.
oh no, classic
I
corporate
assumed it
move.
was a simple lunar cheese mine, but there's a chance that there was a more sinister aim.
We're mining for ghosts, not cheese. Horrible. Horrible. Oh, can I not get in here?
Please insert card.
Okay. Well, I can go look around some more, I guess. The fog has actually boosted profits by 100% since it showed up. Keep seeing that wire and being like, dang! It's just the wire. Map.
Can we play the CD that we got?
I
That
was trying to-
DVD that we got?
I was trying to figure out where to play it, because it won't just let me use it.
Can't just plug it into the spacesuit.
Nah. Nothing happens when you jam it into one of the ports on your spacesuit.
Yeah, there were no play button for it. There were read with the book.
Nah. But that's why I was trying to look at the computer. That's why I tried using it, or I did try using it on the monitors in the monitor room. Gotta find a place to play it.
Did the weird artist say that it was connected to the big room somehow if we got the power on? Because I think we got the power on.
Maybe. How do we get back?
Look, the escalator's working.
Were they not working before? Oh, I guess they
I
weren't.
swear it wasn't before. That's cool.
Hey, well, let's check up here. Hey. Again, they do those nice little touches. This is the observatory, which we have already looked at, but well, there was that lock on the bad Victorian door. Wasn't there?
Okay, so
Okay.
death
so
in here.
Yeah, observatory has not changed. Good to know. It's worth a look. Feel like the first streams, if I stand on this, will I just move down? Yeah, I will. Sometimes just because it looks like it moves doesn't mean it's actually going to move you. I like it when that happens. Yeah, I feel like the first stream of these games is very much us just trying to get our bearings. What's expected of us? What's going on?
Work out how to use the weird controls.
Yeah. Figure out how I can move. This looks really cool.
Yeah, the lights are on now. I love it.
Does that? These are open now. Perfect. Go down here now. Hello? Why are you leaning against the wall saying this? I don't like it. Oh, do you want the CD? Trip to the park with Dad? Oh.
Do we need to wheel in a TV?
It's just like grade school.
It's gotta be that trip that he's talking about. I just don't know how you play the thing for him.
Right? I wonder if I can give it to him now. No, okay. Is there... Oh, there's a screen over here.
Sounds promising.
I thought there was a screen over here. It looked like there was. Here's that it was just the architecture.
I think I see what you...
It looked like the side of side of a monitor or something. This is fine. Maybe we come back to man.
Don't worry, man.
One day we'll get to you. I do like that they like fade in and out as we get closer or further away.
Yeah. Does
I
mean
do
it's
wish-
harder to tell where they are, but
Yeah.
also they do make a noise when you're in the room with them, so you know one's there.
Whoa! Sorry. Would you like to finish that thought?
No, it's fine.
So sorry. Oh! Whoa! Child!
Well, go ghost, get away.
Ah!
Oh my god, we were so close to death.
Yeah, we were. Why is it dark? Why is it so dark? What the fuck? Oh, that was just my brain giving out. Okay.
Okay, it's really bad in there.
Yeah, so we don't go in there. I wonder if that's Carol. I wonder if I can give Carol the CD. I don't want to try that until after we've saved, though. It's been a bit. Okay, and we can't get into the spaceport because we don't have a card. There isn't really anything down there. Where? The save spot was on the other side of the... Oh, this is an escalator. Cool. The save spot that we used previously was on the other side of the like, filtration room, right? Where Bad Janitor was.
Yeah, well, we can't get back.
Okay, well, this is a little unfortunate. And that ghost is, like, right inside that door. So that's not ideal. Energy area. That's where we turned the lights on. I assume that this door is still locked. Carl. It's not! I can open door now.
Oh.
Are you the new wizard? Are you gonna do some weird wizard shit in here?
You're here. Please, make yourself at home.
Thanks! What did that say?
Painting supplies? Something about painting supplies. It's paint stuff.
It's just paint stuff. What is that? Also paint supplies. Looks like a thing I could steal. Who is that? He's painted it on the wall. Dudley Tungsten.
Who is Dudley Tungsten?
Hey, man.
A shuttle crashed some time ago. A lot of people were aboard,
I was on shuttle.
but now
Am I a ghost?
everybody's dead. And that black shadow, I can manage myself being alone. I'm an android.
This explains a lot.
But I'm
Okay.
glad that you're back. Since you left, I've been painting pictures here.
Just the one picture,
Pretty
actually.
pictures, all alone.
Unless all of the...
I don't
The
know why I
green?
paint pictures. Before I knew it, I was painting pictures.
Okay. I assumed that this was, like, a hologram. Or something.
Yeah, me too. Oh, he's painted Dudley Tungsten on the wall. This can't be
This can't
real,
be a-
right?
No. Like, this is definitely, like... This is definitely a hologram. This is...
Yeah, the outside part's a hologram. Flowery's hologram. But he's painted on the, like...
You
Yeah.
have something that you're looking for, right? Maybe I
Yeah,
can help you out.
Agreed.
Come back here from time to time. I'll be here, waiting.
Are you our hint system? Oh, sorry. Let me just
Ooh.
blind you real quick. No, nothing happened.
You have something that you're looking for, right? Maybe I can help you out. Come back here from time to...
Okay, can
He's
I...
failed to help us out.
I know that woman very well.
Okay.
Oh.
That's what he meant.
Her name is Claudia Selfer. She's an intelligent woman, well known in mechanical engineering.
Are we the reason everyone's dead?
Oh no.
Claudia's like an engineer, and we're like some other kind of weird scientist, and this was our creation, and everything's gone funky, and it's all our fault, and that's why we're here to put things back, fix it. This is my running theory right now.
You have something that you're looking for. Maybe I can help you come back here from...
This, sir, what is your name? I don't want to just call you the android. Hey, buddy. Okay. Well, this is where Pal lives. Great. I am at a bit of a loss for what to do. Do you have any ideas?
Guide gets a new item like every 8 seconds. I have no idea what's happening.
oh no.
I'm sorry.
No, that's okay.
Apparently we can get recordings from the observation thing. I'm not sure they're helpers though.
From the observatory?
From the monitor rooms.
Oh. Weird.
Yeah.
Try and run back there at some point. Sometime soon. Again, operating off of the logic from the first game of, like, having big angry ghosts and you're supposed to give them an item to, like, placate them or whatever. I feel like I need to give this tape or this DVD to the girl, but I'm scared to try it.
Yeah.
Because we haven't saved in a while. But I feel like that's what needs to happen. But I haven't seen any.
Hang on. It does want us to play that on a video monitor in one of the rooms, apparently.
Okay. That
Don't
is...
just throw the disc at her, she won't understand.
That is fair. And that is helpful because now I won't get ourselves killed. We won't die for no reason. Because that would be really upsetting, honestly.
Yeah. She did kill us very fast. She nearly killed us instantly.
Children ghosts are the most terrifying. Listen.
Explode your heart even faster.
Yeah, okay. There's not a monitoring room with monitors. I'm gonna, like, check all the corners for a save spot. Just in case I've missed one. I'm trying to think of, like, where we've seen where we could potentially use. Maybe there is one at the end of this hallway. Use the disc. Like, you would think you would be able to use it in the monitoring rooms. Where am I?
Oh, hang on. This is weird.
No.
Got the video disc. Advance slowly. There is a ghost here. Okay, wanted us to run. Okay, that's weird. The guide's. I think there's other rooms that we have time to dash into in the ghost area.
Oh.
Like it's a crossroads.
Yeah. I'm scared.
We'll be fine.
I am worried. Hold on, before I do that,
A man's
though,
paw hat.
right? Like, even if it doesn't kill him outright, this can't be good for him, all this adrenaline. His
Going
heart
from
rate is
80 beats per minute to 300 beats per minute in the space of like 3 seconds. Probably not great.
not good. Also, I don't see any recordings.
I don't know what.
This is me just zooming in and out.
I don't know how it wants us to get recordings from that.
I wonder if there are any, if it'll like pull up like a specific menu, or if we'll be able to like interact with that at some point with like a future item or something. I don't know.
What it says is at the first monitor room. Go in here to find the first monitor. Use it to look at different rooms and to find the first of the recordings. And then the next one has like 3 recordings? 2 recordings?
Weird. Alright.
Oh, the green footprints I think might be it. Because the second recording's called Stairway Footprints. And also there's only one on the second monitor. It's just that he's put 3 different things in brackets. So I thought they were all recordings.
Weird. Okay, so hold on.
I don't know what we do with the green radioactive footprints, but
I'm curious about this though, and since we're like close to where this room is, and I think this is the one that lets us look at those green footprints that we saw.
I think
get in. Get on in here.
We're in the room we can't get to on it, the battery room.
Yeah. Yeah.
Large machine.
Buddy.
I'm sure with this room.
Also sure it was, but I think it was. Over here?
Maybe we're both crazy. Oh, okay.
Do I zoom into it? I do.
Please, Victor. There should still be some good batteries somewhere.
I can't move the camera.
What? I don't want
Look at his shoes. Look at those kicks.
You gonna kill him?
Victor, my dad gave this to me before my first flight. I'm giving this to you.
It's a knife! And then he stabs him in the back.
You know you're not as weak as you think you are. But Captain... Where are you?
I wonder if these are supposed to... A knife! No! I wonder if these are supposed to help you, like, find... Or, like... Let me try and figure out how to say this before I try and say it.
Kind of hints?
Yes.
Very, very vague hints.
Well, it's like if you find, like, an item where it's, like, to son from dad or whatever, you would give that to that man or Victor. But, excuse me, sorry. Or they might just be ways to, like, piece together everything that's happened here.
Either way, cool.
Yeah, I like it. Neat. Yeah. Okay, let's... You know what I could do? I could just save state.
Yeah, you
That's a thing sometimes. So we might save state before we go into the room with the very scary, angry child.
Just in case while we're still getting our bearings.
Yeah.
Don't wanna accidentally explode this far after a checkpoint.
Right? Like, consider, yeah, that's mostly that's mostly it for me. Is I'm still trying to like get used to the controls. They're definitely more intuitive than the first games, but the stakes are also higher, and the enemy's much more aggressive. It seems.
Yeah, they'll kill you a lot faster. We didn't die in the first game.
Nah. Before we do this, though, I need to use the restroom. And
Okay.
we have been streaming for like an hour 20, so a break is probably good.
You're saying it's pee time?
I'm saying it's pee time. I am saying it is pee time. I'll at least get us over here. And we'll... Save state works. Perfect. Love that. Love that for us.
Nice.
It's pee time. So we'll be back in a couple of minutes. Oh god, no. No yawns. Grab a snack, get some water. I should also refill my water, because I have almost drunk all of it again. Thirsty today.
Jeez.
What can I say? Sometimes you just gotta drink all the water.
You gotta drink your water, everyone.
Think your waiter is, you gotta think your waiter. Not only yawns.
Everyone best be dinking later over there.
If you're not thinking your waiter, gonna make you think your waiter. Yeah, so we'll be back in a couple of minutes. Words on stream, all that usual nonsense. BRB. decided I wanted to eat a handful of chips before we started back up.
That's fair.
So I have eaten some chips. Devo is yelling at me. Hi, Devo.
Hi, Devo.
Come here. Come here. Devo. No, you have to jump up. Come here.
Tiny Yuba.
You want hear your friend? Hi.
Hi, Devo.
Big purrs. Hi.
Aw.
Are you gonna lay down? You gonna be a good boy and lay down? Yeah? Okay. 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 Devo, I need
I love
you to...
my weird little friend.
He's a good little buddy.
My loud
Weirdest
little buddy.
friend. Devo does love Fruity, it's true. He's a loud little buddy. Devo! You don't have down? You don't want to, I know, but you kind of have to. You're gonna just stomp around on my lap, and you're too big. Devo, you're too big. Hold on a second. Okay. Stop moving. Yeah. Evo? We save stated, right? Pretty
Yeah.
sure we did. Alright.
100%.
Okay. It wasn't even
If
that
we'd have
bad.
known that those doors were that much closer, it would have been way easier for us to
Right.
work out what we were doing here.
I panicked. There was a ghost, and I was like, I can't do anything. I've convinced
Yeah.
Devo to get down.
It's a
Perfect.
pretty normal response when you enter a room that has a ghost in it to just turn around and walk back out.
Just be like, hey, I think we're done now. No ghost. I now want to find, like, every recording. I mean, not every, because obviously we've already missed some. What is that? No! Take me back! Listen, I was looking at this. The bed is
That isn't made.
This is the takeaway from this? There is something on
Okay.
the bed.
You noticed it last.
My goodness, what's that? It's just a cup. This room isn't clean. My goodness. Table is rather messy. Why are we
Table
so
is
judgy?
radioactive.
Yeah, it is. But seriously, why are we so judgy about everything?
Stop all that nonsense talk about ghosts.
Ever since we found that stone, strange things have been happening.
A stone, you
Don't
say?
worry about it. Our director's pleased, and that's what matters. There won't be any more oxygen shortages.
Would you
It'll
describe
absolutely
this
be
stone
nice to
as
work here.
red? Potentially
Gordon.
attached to a
Listen, Alan.
knife?
We just work here. We do what we're told without
Dude, you-
question.
Spilled your cup.
Right, let's go.
Wow. Wow.
Might not be the whole knife. It might be. I always assumed like the stone was the important part. The knife was just to make it easier to sacrifice people for the stone.
Yes. Agreed. But also, oh,
That light switch is green
yeah,
too.
it is. But then I heard the child.
Yeah. I'm not sure if the do patrol or if the just pop up when you reach certain
Where am I
triggers.
now?
They
What
probably
sort
just
of
pop
place
up.
Is it here? Fog. This fog created that ghost. Somehow, I must find a way to clear this fog.
Big fan.
What? Whoa!
Whoa.
I don't think he is a big fan.
I was saying you should get a fan in there, but you know what? Maybe he doesn't like getting got by a ghost. Can we blame him for that? Child.
Doesn't like industrial cooling systems.
Child.
He's not a big fan of big fans.
Fun fact, I used to have a big metal fan. And as a big metal fan, the jokes were endless.
Oh dang, that's good. That's Baz.
There it was. Yeah. It broke, unfortunately. Small electronic device. The screen is illuminated. It's in ready mode. I bet.
That might be,
Yeah. Yeah. You know what I'm thinking? It's across the hall, diagonally to the right.
Yeah, down one and on the other side.
Yeah. Okay. Good to know.
That is
What is
past
this?
where the ghost was, though.
Yeah. There's something written on the wall. Can't make out what it is, though.
We'd probably be able to read that in the room. The text's normally super clear. It's just like specifically not allowing us to do it on the camera.
Makes sense. I don't like it, but it makes sense.
Yeah, we can tell there's something written there, but we need to actually get there.
Can't just cheese it. I guess. Anything else around here? I like this camera feature. I don't.
This is really cool.
Construction materials. I was about to ask if those were body bags. So that answers that question. Is that a fan? Are you a fan? Hey.
Oh dang, good spot.
Who's there?
Sometimes, if I know what I'm looking for,
Sorry.
I can do it.
I told you that if those two things get mixed together, they'll generate high heat. Be careful.
Be careful.
Sorry, I'll set them apart.
You guys just don't listen to me.
That's a puzzle hint right there.
Yeah, it is. We
Do
need
you
a
like
red
that when you
canister.
find one of those? Like the camera glitches out and yeah.
Yeah.
That's cool.
It's a neat mechanic. It's very well done. I realized I hadn't looked at this camera on this one. I'm on the hunt for green spots. There's nothing there. That's okay.
In horror games, there does necessarily need to be downtime between, getting chased and stuff, because you can't be scared for that long.
Mm-hmm.
Is that one?
It's also in ready mode. Oops, wrong button. Hi, can you tell I've been playing Elden Ring?
Doing the cameras is a very atmospheric way to use the downtime and lets you plan out what you're doing.
You've definitely it's nice too because it does keep that air of tension about, because you never know what you're gonna find on the camera. Am I gonna stumble across another ghost or whatever? But there is that barrier between you and the actual scare, so it keeps the tension, but it doesn't overexert you or overindulge in the spooks too much, which is great. Yeah, it's a good implementation of the system. I like it.
Yeah, it's still eerie because weird deserted space building, and it's super quiet when you're on the cameras. But you nothing you're looking at can hurt you because you're looking at it through a camera.
Yeah. No, it's good. It's a good use of the system. I want FromSoft to do more horror games. I think is my takeaway from this. Not even necessarily survival horror or anything. Even just more Echo Knight. Hey, FromSoft, do more Echo Knight.
Just do more Echo Knight for us, please.
But the very puzzle heavy sort of horror game. They're just very good at games with atmosphere. Just any kind of atmosphere, even. Just like when they set their mind to a concept, they do it very well. And I would just like to see more horror games from them. They understand what they're doing. And that's exciting for me. As a horror fiend.
One of my favorite things about like the Souls games is just exploring all the weird environments. And like seeing how everything connects together.
Yeah.
Like just a first-person exploration like puzzle game from FromSoft would absolutely, I'd absolutely buy that.
Absolutely. No, like I just I love FromSoft and I love everything that they've done. Everything that I've played from them, I've really enjoyed. I don't know that I would like to try Armor Core at some point, but I don't know that it would be something that I personally would like, just given like I don't know that it's kind of gameplay that I would enjoy. I would for sure watch somebody play Armor Core. This bed is made neatly.
Have downloaded Armored Core.
Are you gonna play
Maybe
it?
one day.
Do it. Do it. Do it. Do it.
I have an Armored Core on Xbox 360 as well.
Alright, so you're gonna play that next stream, right? Only do it if you want to. But I'd watch it.
Awesome.
Excuse me while I just explore the bathrooms. Mirror has been shattered. How can you tell?
The mirror has turned into a bathtub.
Oh no. There was a mirror here once. The bathtub now.
It's gone now.
How do I leave?
Why is the mirror not in the sink room?
The sink room? Sorry. That is a good question. I wanna go this way. What? This one? Why did the ghost not come for me? Is it because I played the video?
Could have been.
CD
Or maybe once you've seen where you're going, it just... I would play the thing here just because of the amount of lol girl stuff around it. Yeah.
Can I skip it though? Okay. Great. Is this the one with the... No.
I'm gonna look this up just in case it's something really odd. I won't say anything if it's not.
Okay.
Just because I feel like it should have given us some kind of feedback from the things we've done.
Excuse you, bottle.
Oh.
It's the sink room. See, jump scares like that don't bother me as much. Announcement display. That's a sink! Hey, game! Okay. Yeah, jump scares like that bottle don't bother me nearly as much. Because it wasn't ear-piercingly loud. I'll take silly jump scares like that over... I like that I can open the oven. Take little spooky atmospheric things like that over something just being loud. I'm gonna go back to the right.
Okay, get what we're supposed to. It makes sense.
Okay. This door isn't working. This is troubling. Oh, Ghost is back.
It's fine. It's fine.
Oh.
What's that?
It was just starting to like get a little worrisome because I was just walking through that hallway and nothing was happening.
That mirror's broken.
Mirror in the other room was broken too. Kind of like
Wasn't in the sink room though.
it was not. Who doesn't? Well, I guess maybe you just don't want to. There are sinks in a lot of the rooms, so maybe the room with the bathtub and the shower makes sense that you would probably get ready there versus ready in the room where you take a poop. If they're giving you multiple options, this is the one that I want. Magnetic strip across the back of the card. And that isn't need. Like, we got a sink. In with the toilet. We also have a sink. In with the washer. And the bathtub. Maybe this is where you get ready. This is where they brush their teeth.
Dang.
Why is... Whoa!
Where's the little ghost?
I don't know, but my heart's gonna explode because I couldn't see anything.
Okay. That just seemed a little rude to make the screen go completely black when you get attacked by a ghost.
Right? The first time it happened, I thought maybe my light had turned off, but I've toggled the flashlight a couple of times. I need to reload. I don't need to go there. Okay. This is a bit unfortunate, but, you know, that's okay. We can work with this. Do have to do all this stupid...
We gotta get the thing from room 102.
Yeah.
The other stuff wasn't... We didn't need to play the thing in any of the rooms. Ah, I forgot about that.
Okay. So we just need the key card that we picked up?
Yeah, as far as I know, that's the only important thing.
Okay. Here's the thing. You do have to go through and do all these again.
Yeah.
We can skip them though.
Oh, yeah.
I do like
Stop
that
all
they
that
are like
nonsense
the
talk about
shape. I
ghosts.
thought we could skip it. Oh no. Okay, well we
Ever since
can't.
we found
That's
We should
fine.
maybe save after we
Strange things
watch
have been
these.
happening.
Yes.
Don't worry
Agreed.
about it.
Wait, no, I did
Directors,
save because there
please,
was
and that's what
the
matters.
room. Hold on.
There won't be any more oxygen shortages. It'll actually be
Oh, I
nice
thought
to
you'd-
work here.
There was a save spot in one of the rooms.
If we loaded a save state from before we saved, I'm not
Listen,
sure.
Alan, we just
No, wait,
work
it should
here.
do.
We do what
It's
we're
weird on the
told without
PS1 emulator. I
question.
think it should work because it actually saves an actual file to your
Let's go.
actual computer on this.
Yeah, yeah. Okay, hold on. Get me out of here. Why is my heart freaking out? Because I ran in here. That's why. I understand. Load. No.
Okay.
Okay, that's fine. Thought I had saved. Maybe I
I thought
looked
you had
at it.
to.
Maybe I looked at it and thought about saving and then didn't. That's
Makes
very
sense.
possible. That's
You looked at
okay.
it and thought, I have saved the game. I don't need to interact with this anymore.
Yeah. That would be a thing I would do. That's okay. These don't take too long.
That's why I always save like 10 times in a row at any save point in any game.
Honestly.
Because I know I'm an idiot.
I usually do. I'll usually do like 2 or 3 saves, but I think I just like was so focused on being like FromSoft is great that I just didn't do anything else. Because sometimes that's how you do it. Okay. There wasn't anything else.
I had the little girl.
Sometimes they just chat. Sometimes the ghosts just say things.
Was
I
the
like
last
it.
one that we found in the red and yellow cans room?
I think it's the renovation area.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, the ghost of the red can.
Hey, who's there?
Oh, I was saying I like that the
Sorry.
the green spots
I told you
are
that if those
in the
two
shape
things
of
get mixed
whatever
together,
like
they'll
was left
generate
here. So
high
like this one
heat.
was
Be
a circle,
careful.
like the canister, and the one
Sorry.
in the room with the
I'll
guy
set
who
them
was just
apart.
being like, "Ugh, we gotta go get
You guys
oxygen
just
or
don't
whatever."
listen
It
to
was in
me.
the shape of his hand with the cup. The very very small details, and I like it.
Yeah. Hmm.
Hey, I like these games. Okay, let's let our heart calm down. I know we don't have to play it, but I'm still gonna. Because we can skip this one.
Maybe it's that calms her down for a minute or something. I genuinely don't know if it does. The guy doesn't say.
Guide, please. This is the wrong.
We got the
We'll
save here though.
Yeah, we do. Okay. Thank you. Oh no! Maybe that's what I did. Or I did what I did with Croc, where I don't think I said overwrite. I think I just said no and was like, it's fine, we've done it.
That could do it too.
Okay, well, we have a fresh save now.
Yeah.
Confirmed. It is here. Monitor room. Residence. Just do it one more time for good measure. Perfect. Save successful. Well, it can save 3 times. You know what? I don't care. We have to go to the right. 102? 102.
102 is where the cat is.
Child, please.
Be wary of horrible ghost girl coming in.
I'm scared. I don't want a horrible ghost girl to come in. Okay, hold on. Before we... Where do I go after this?
Do you want me to say or?
No, it was more me
Okay,
thinking out
yeah.
loud.
I thought so.
Sorry. I assume further in... Just, okay. Let me look at the card once we pick it up. Because we did have those other places that needed a key card. But they, like, specifically stated, like, level 1, level 2, so on and so forth. It's probably what we need to do with those, though. So we'll go here. We'll go left. Please. I think I've gone the right way. I think we have.
We're in the observatory. No observatory. The big room.
The big room. Okay.
Observatory's the room with the Victorian safe.
Yeah.
I remember.
The safe that's keeping all the plague-ridden orphans back there. Okay, you're just saying the same things. Sir. Okay. Items. Let me look at the thing.
Don't really tell you what you do with that, does it?
Mm-mm. My thoughts are It either opens up the doors that are already locked, that need the key card, or there's something at the end of the hallway that I need to use it on.
My initial thought when I saw it was that it was like the first level of key for the doors.
Mm-hmm. That is my thought. That's a level.
It doesn't say that is, though. That seems rude. It doesn't
Yeah.
say anything about what it does, and I don't approve of that.
That is a little mean. This is okay. We can... I wonder if I could bring it to Android Friend. Let's see if he has anything to say about it. I don't think he does. But if he does, that'll save us a walk. But I'm willing to walk towards one of the other locked doors and test it on those. So this is fine.
Just kept staring off into the distance. Didn't even look.
No acknowledgement. Okay, that's fine, I guess. That's fine. Whatever. Where are those locked
like,
doors?
Hints were, I don't know.
Yeah?
I didn't know if I should. The hints were all the like ghosts on the monitor. I think they were all important.
I mean, that would track. So what I'm hearing is we need to go deeper into that hallway.
We have to go deeper. I'm worried that we have to interact with something that looks like it's not something we interact with.
Yeah. Okay.
Can always just duck into a room with the ghost.
Yup.
Ghost, please.
Hey!
Ooh, right.
I forgot about this one.
Oh, okay, maybe it's just blow. Oh.
The fog, it does terrible things, turns them evil, please. Let help arrive. There are pictures of books on the nightstand. I don't think there was anything else in here. The fact that I can open these makes me think that there will be something in them at some point.
I feel like
Specifically,
there's
the
never
cupboards.
going to be anything in any cupboard. It's just going to let you open everyone in the entire game for no reason.
I will be very sad about this. I will be so sad about this. Ma'am. Please.
Ghostly. Very rude.
Very upset. Horrible. What are you? That's an elevator call button. Are you a level 1? You're a level 4.
That's too many levels.
But what if 4 is actually a low level? It's not. Dispensary room.
Does have one of the corners cut off.
Please.
Hey. Blank space weirdos. What is this room? Oh,
this
it's the
is an
lift.
elevator. This goes down. I don't wanna. Not yet. Look, we haven't explored down there yet. Like I haven't seen anything on a screen for it yet.
We probably can't mess with those glowing green things, right?
I think those are just lights.
I think they're nothing, but like I said, I'm worried that we're interacting with something that looks like just garbage. But I think there's 2 of those identical Yeah, that's nothing, right? What even look at? He thinks it's just part of the wall.
It's just there to look nice. And by look nice, I mean not great. What is this? It's a battery. What does this do? I think this is the room where the jars were. Thing? Lock requires a special key. No.
What's that blue thing?
Intercom panel. Ah! Smashing X. Don't worry about it, it's fine. There's the construction materials.
That's the job.
It is yellow chemical. The warning label on the container reads, "Do not mix." Oh, I'm gonna mix it. Oh, just you wait. An antiquated generator. The power's been cut. Okay. Well. What are you? Nothing.
Words on it, but they're written in nonsense font.
It's locked.
Do you want a stronger hint?
Yeah. Yeah.
In the second flashback, the dude were like complaining about. They were like hooting about doing something with like the ventilation system, and he were trying to mess with the computer, and then he got eaten by the ghost.
Okay.
And the writing on the wall said the fog makes the ghosts mad.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. I think where I should explore this hallway, and I don't want to.
Yeah, I think it's just in the hall, but like I don't know where in the hall.
I think he was near 103.
Okay.
I think.
That's good remembering if you've got that.
I don't trust myself to actually properly remember that, though, is the thing. Here's the thing.
It could be, like right at the like between the elevator lobby and the room on the wall.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think you might be right.
Okay.
But I barely remember also, and you might have just convinced me by sounding confident.
See, this is the curse of being me. Fun
Everyone
fact.
assumes you know what you're talking about.
Yes. This is how I've landed as many jobs as many weird jobs that I was definitely underqualified for. Because I've just come in and been like, yes, absolutely, I know how to do this. And they're just like, okay, great. It's like, how do I do this? You just make it sound like you know what's happening. Go in here. I think that thing on the wall was it, though, but I'm scared that there's a ghost.
Just wanted to
give us a moment.
Yeah.
Okay. Let's go. No, child. I'm busy. Ah!
Hey!
We did it. Okay, so note to self, I just need to pay more attention during the little
I
scenes.
think that's the takeaway.
Mm-hmm.
Because that just looks like any like random panel on the wall. There's a million of them. We need to pay more attention to which ones the messing with in the flashbacks.
It's nice to know that, like, again, that the attention to detail is still there.
Yeah.
I like it. I like it. Okay, we've already looked in here. I don't think there's really anything in any of these rooms that we need, let alone can pick up.
Can we remember which one had all the little girl stuff in?
No.
One of them had like baby drawings and stuff.
Yeah, not this one.
Nam
Oh,
is now playing Warhammer 40,000 Chaos Gate.
Where you going? Enjoy your game. 102? No. I do appreciate that, like, the load between all the...
Which?
Right? Horrible. Bad. Bad rooms. 105. Oh. Maybe don't use slobs. Hey, fun fact. Slob sucks. Join the OBS crew.
Every single person I've ever heard of using slobs has had some different, like, major problem with it.
Horrible. It's what I used to, like, when I started streaming.
Yeah.
And honestly,
but
like...
you had major problems with it.
Yeah, I did. I appreciated the fact that it did... This worked. I appreciated the fact that it did, like, introduce me to all of the streaming options. Hold on, my heart is exploding? No, it's slowly going up. You know, reach out sometime. We can talk OBS. Slobs was a great way of, like, introducing me to everything because so much of it was streamlined. However, it is such a clunky piece of software and crashes all the time and doesn't work with a lot of things and just is horrible. I would not recommend. If you would like a tutorial or something on OBS, let me know, friend. We can schedule a time to work on that. I'm incredibly busy now all of the time, but we will figure something out. Oh. 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 Game is lagging a little bit. Did not like it. It's fine. It's back now.
It was too bright when the ghosts collided.
It's a whole Ghostbusters thing. It's you don't want to cross the streams. You also don't want to cross the ghosts. Everything gets wibbly when that happens. What is this? Is that a headband? It's a hair. That's not a clip.
It's a hair clip.
Okay. Items left behind by the young girl's ghost when she vanished. Great. You did it.
I think, like, everyone in the gang except me started streaming using slobs. And all had a completely different, like, major issue that kept coming up.
Yeah.
That meant they independently quit and switched to OBS.
Yeah.
And like there was no crossover between the different bits of it that were broken.
They were all... Yeah.
Something will break, but it will be something different, so no one will be able to help you.
It's just like Discord. We all have... Oh. We all have very serious issues with Discord at times, but they're all vastly different from each other.
Same. Twice. Anyway, the little girl only killed us once, right?
Yeah, because our other death was to Janitor Man. Angel looking for her dead mom. If you would just stop for 2 seconds and listen to her, but you know, it's fine. Oh, I have. Hey, look. Are you gonna give me a thing now?
If you bring this into an elevator, it will take you to the back of this facility.
We never really learned what makes some ghosts like bad and some ghosts passive. Like, it seems like if there were a horrible person, there'll be a bad ghost, but also some normal
Yeah.
people will just become bad ghosts. It's
I
weird that
wonder-
we can turn it off by getting rid of the fog, though. And de-angry the ghost.
Yeah, I'm curious as to how like the fog works into all of this. Like before, I think all of the like angry ghosts that we came across in the first one were people that were more closely tied to the situation at hand, as opposed to just sort of like passing victims.
Yeah.
Because like the little girl was related to, oh fuck, what was his name? It wasn't William, was it? No.
William was dad, I think. And I can't remember what Old Man was called, because his name always came up as Old Man.
Yeah, but old man like was related to the little girl, and then the
Were they all relatives of his, except for the
I don't
king,
know.
who was a previous owner of the stone?
I don't think so, because I think
Okay.
well, I can't say that because I don't remember the young lady's relation.
Yeah, me neither.
But she was like pretty closely tied to the situation and wasn't just a passing victim, I guess.
But then the like direct relatives were all pretty nice when we met them. I don't know.
Yeah, but I don't think they were like they were killed by the
Yeah, they'd all got killed by Old Man.
Yeah. But I think they were also like
They were all plotting to kill him as well.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't know. It seems a little wiggly as to who gets turned into bad ghost and who doesn't.
They were like very together. Maybe if you I don't know.
Yeah.
Could be a lot of things.
Who knows? More to understand as we play.
Yeah.
Okay, so we need to go to an elevator?
Maybe the more closely linked to the stone you are, the more chance you'll either be a very lucid ghost or an extremely angry ghost.
Yeah. Yeah. I'd roll with that. Oh no, the fog only makes a sound only a ghost can hear. It's like putting a neurodivergent person in a room with a fridge that makes that humming noise.
For me, it'd have to be a wasp or a big fly pressing up against a window.
Oh my god, and you can like hear them bounce against the glass, but also the like incessant buzzing.
Yeah, the little weird, like, horrible. Yes.
Yeah,
It's real bad.
Horrible. What?
New cost just dropped.
I wasn't prepared. I just wanted to find the elevator. This is horrible. I meant to check which side the elevator was on. I just looked at the map and was like, yes, that is a map. To the left. Not the yellow wallpaper.
remember the thing you linked her. It was we modeled this room after the room with yellow wallpaper. It's like, why though? That made her go crazy.
Don't do that. Consider. Not that.
Do you know anything about this tale other than the title?
No. The answer to that is absolutely not.
It's like
can
they
I-
always say, always judge a book by its cover.
Access granted. Releasing lock.
Uh-oh.
Thank you, Lift.
Okay, could I not go down before? Because I didn't try. Why is our heart rate going up?
We claustrophobic?
We must be.
No, fuck, it was safe, question mark.
Gravity training room?
The gravity training room. Bufood.
Bufood?
See, vegetable.
Yeah, that's an A or a D. It's hard to tell. Fishly Station.
D, experimental. Fishly Station.
Experimental. What is
The
that
experimental Fishly Station.
What is that supposed to say? It can't possibly be saying fishly.
There is not even like, I don't see a way that
that could be anything else.
The texture could just be weird. Yeah, it just says Fishly. It's just the Fishly Station.
Gravity training room.
Named after Sir Edward Fishley.
Control passage. Research area. Where's the Fishley room? Why am I so slow?
Are we spooky?
Why is my heart rate freaking out?
Why is this hallway bad? We're fine standing in this hallway, which is much scarier in perfect darkness.
Right!
But that last hallway, though.
Oh, last hallway was a no-go. What the hell? Okay. I am confusion. Freight elevator. What you got? Any goo? Yeah, the feng shui in that last hallway was just way off. Okay. Nothing in freight elevator. Lobby B1. Just a sad plant.
Oh, plant. Who killed Plant? We need to find them and bring them to justice for Emmy. Does not appear that. Oh no! Don't back out. A second. That's a dead man. Well, dead person. No! You're alive? Lady! She don't look alive. She's see-through.
Oh yeah, and she's echoey. Okay. This is why I want my ghosts to just be shadows.
You stay here, okay?
Sweetie.
There was some...
Don't worry.
Not shadow ghosts, but that meant they were the bad one. You should
Yeah.
avoid them.
No matter what.
Yeah. She broke both of legs.
You've always been like this. Kind, confident, so assertive.
And there's the feet shot.
That's
I
the
don't-
feet.
I don't know if
10
Miyazaki was
years have
involved in
already
this game,
passed.
but
Well, now
that's-
we do know that Miyazaki was involved with this game.
He said, "I need my feet."
Longer.
They're in space, Miyazaki. Why would they take the shoes off?
Doesn't matter. We need
So
the
mining
feet!
colony.
If I told you she broke both of her legs, would that let you take her shoes off? Hal, we can't do this. We can't have every game. More feet. I gotta see the toes. You can't keep those tootsies hidden. I appreciate the fact that there is a whole group of people now that may not know a bunch about Miyazaki and the games that he's been involved in, but we all know that he likes feet. Love that the Elden Ring newcomers are aware of this information now as well. We don't have to be alone with it anymore. I can't stress enough how important the toes are to the lore.
There's gonna be a puzzle later on that requires careful study of these toes.
And like 5 poison swamps.
Yeah, we need a lot of poison swamps.
How could you leave me in a
Poison
place
swamps,
like
goop
this?
monster,
I
feet.
will not die. I will not die. Claudia, I promise. I will once again.
Claudia's our lady, right?
Once more.
I thought
Give
so.
me power.
Okay. Are we Kenneth? Am I Spaceman? Not the bad fog.
I think my running theory is that we're a ghost somehow.
I mean, that is... I would agree with this. Why is this filthy and who is this person?
Is this the poison swamp?
It's the vegetable plant, so yes. I am concerned. Why is this disgusting?
This is a problem.
Stuffed animal. Okay.
It looks real bad in there.
Yeah, I don't know that I like this.
Oh.
2 ghosts? Or is that a mirror?
Mm.
That's a mirror.
This could be the puzzle from Echo Knight 1 again.
Oh no.
Somehow.
One is a good ghost, the other is a bad ghost. What the
Both of them were good ghosts. There was just a third awful ghost hiding in the cupboard.
Sometimes you just have to put a radiator in front of the cupboard.
I love that. That was cool.
It was I really liked that puzzle. That was a good puzzle. I forgot to check the other camera because I'm very bad at this.
The hint being that when you leave through one door, the door across from you also closes.
Yeah.
And you being confident enough that the game pays enough attention to detail that wouldn't be an accident.
Oh, it's so good. I did it again!
Ah, jeez.
This is the one I want to look at. I don't think there's anything in here, but if I don't look, then there will be. I'll have missed something important. Oh, jeez. Okay. I don't want to go out here. I don't want to go out.
Is there a save here? I didn't see one. It'd be cool if the monitor rooms all had a save point in them somewhere.
God, that would be wonderful. Yes.
Oh.
I don't know if the other ones have had it, but this one does, which is
the last
great.
one did, which is why I thought.
Yeah. Fair enough. save. That's
So it said monster room.
not monster room. Please.
It's fine. We're not in the
fine.
monster room. We got this. We're just in the
Ugh.
Fishley labs.
I want to know where the Fishley labs are.
Oh god, do we have to go through the vegetable plant?
I think so. Yeah, because the research area hallway is the bad hallway that made us panic for no reason.
Yeah.
And so we are on our way towards the vegetable plant. We could try the other doors in the research hallway. Or... Oh, God,
We could.
sorry. Yeah.
I mean, we did just
yawn.
save, though. We might as well
Let's just
take a look at this horrible place.
Go look at the bad vegetable place. There was a doll in there, like a stuffed animal, and I like stuffed animals.
There's a fair point that if we're a ghost, how does a hat explode?
Maybe
Why are we so scared of ghosts if we are ghosts?
we're scared of ghosts because we don't know that we're ghosts, and that's why all the mirrors are broken, so that we can't see that we're a ghost. And maybe the heart isn't actually real. We just think it is because we don't know that we're a ghost. You dig?
Kind of.
I am slowly, I was gonna say going insane, but we're not going insane. Our heart is just threatening to explode on us.
Not going that slow. Is it the air temperature? Was that the problem? What did we do?
I have no idea. I turned it on and then
It turned off, but we calmed down.
what was that? Please.
Game, tell us about the thing. Try looking away and looking back.
Well, I used to activate the fan located on the ceiling. Okay. Ah! I'm gonna die. I'm gonna die!
Okay, the doll's stuck.
I am stuck!
I think that there's another ghost in front of you.
Yeah, okay, I do want to see, since we're going to die, I would like to single sedative filter in. That brought it down, like, not at all.
By like
Okay.
50, and then he went back up by 70 and we died.
Okay, so health kits, useless.
Yeah, garbage.
Absolutely useless. Okay, if we can stop with this loud,
Please.
high-pitched sound. Okay, I think we freaked out because we could see the ghost, and then I went where we could not see the ghost, and where the ghost could not see us, and then the ghost saw us, and that's why it kept going back and forth about whether or not our heart was gonna explode. We need to figure out how to keep that button on. Because if we can turn the button on, then that'll vent out the fog. But something tells me that we can't do that yet. So... that's a fire extinguisher. It's I'm super slow out here, so I wonder if it's a gravity issue. That's as bright as my flashlight gets. No, something is just grabbing me.
I
Okay.
think it's not a gravity issue.
I think there's a ghost that's trying to touch my face, which I don't appreciate. Are you gonna go down, Heart? Stand in a corner for a second, okay? Do we
Sir,
just
I
live
don't believe you have a resting heart rate of 140 beats per minute. Oh.
because I'm still getting grabbed. Okay,
Kind
but
of got
this-
used to it though.
Yeah. We just live here now. Stop.
Ghost, I'm looking for items. You're covering up my screen with your dirty handprints.
Thanks for the battery. I'm imagining that it is a child ghost riding on our back,
Yeah, that's why we're walking slow.
smacking our face. Okay, well, while my heart rate isn't totally tripping out, I think we will kind of just look around for a moment. More broken mirrors, and that's it. That's all that's in here. Okay, great. Child, if we could stop, that would be awesome. This way? Fisheries. Fishley Station. It's locked.
Fishley Labs. The translation on specifically the textures is very bad, but the actual text seems fine. So I think this is workable.
Yeah. Agreed. What's this? I think my heart rate is bugged out.
I think we're like a bit scared of the kid, but we're not like supposed to die to this. So it's just we're at the maximum it's gonna go to.
Alright. Okay.
It's not that scary. It's just having a good time. Plus, there's no fog.
But it's true, there is no fog. Okay, that was a bathroom. We've already looked at that. That door was locked. This is the other restroom that we have not looked at. I don't think.
Ghost, you can't go in the ladies' bathroom.
Are ghosts just not allowed in restrooms in general?
Possibly?
Is this a no ghost zone? I think this is the one that I was in. This is
There won't be
horrible.
any ammo in the bathrooms anywhere.
Okay, but I got a battery, so you know.
No,
Yes.
didn't happen.
No, I'm pretty sure it did.
I checked the tips.
Yeah, okay.
Didn't happen.
Alright. No movie poster. Child, please. You have to have something better to do with your day.
Having such a good time.
No.
It's a tiny baby just gooping your helmet. Ooh, thermos of wine.
Glass cleaner. Or
Okay.
containing a glass cleaning solution. I bet we could use that
Can
in
we
the
mix?
vegetable room.
Okay.
Oh.
That's a good idea. Yours is way better.
What did you want to mix it with?
The thing that said do not mix.
Is there a way to combine items in our inventory?
No idea.
That's probably not the way to do it, though. Notes. Nothing happened. It's bad.
Can we
bad
get all these
cleaner.
fingerprints off the helmet?
Right. Please. Okay, child, leave me alone. Get out of here, kid. Since I've gotten some things.
I'd say, yeah. We had to walk around with the child on our head a really long time for that glass
don't-
cleaner.
Right? I don't want to have to do it ever again. I know that we could probably get to the, like, I know where the glass cleaner is located now, but if I could just not have to do that, ever again would be great. I'm not too worried about saving too many times. Game can deal with it.
We can get just an A rank, it's fine.
Mm.
Pride will endure. Smiley!
Smiley Fusion is raiding with a party of 6. Kaysh and the gang welcome you.
Looking for ghosts today.
We are looking for ghosts. I have to hop over here to say hello to my friends! How's it going, Smiley? How was the last bit of your stream? I'm trying to type your name out and my hands aren't working. This is fine. How was the fork knifing? How's it going? Hello, friends. I think you all know who I am, but in case you don't, my name is Kaysh. You can call or Kayshurrr. You can call me Kaysh. I don't know how to do intros right now. It's fine. Don't worry about it. We're playing a game called Echo Night. I have FruitySpruce with me, hanging out and telling me that I'm doing it bad. It's great.
I'm nice. I don't say you're doing nothing bad.
Fruity is incredibly supportive during this spooky time. You only did 2 rounds of Fortnite. So you did do your cooking stream? I had to leave right around the time that you were talking about doing that because I had to get stuff ready. So I'm sad that I missed it. But
cooking streams are cool.
Right? I want to see a cooking stream that is also a Smiley stream.
You have to do another one. We missed it. Do it again.
Sorry, we weren't there. Can you try that again right now?
I wasn't looking.
Hey, sometimes it's fun to just hang out while you're doing all your regular daily stuff. I'm here for it, even if the quality's scuff. We love it. But yeah, like I said, we're playing a game called Echo Night Beyond. You have to remember that there is a full title beyond just Echo Night. This is a spooky FromSoft game from ages ago. I think this one came out in 2004. We played the first one a couple weekends ago, and it was very great. We're enjoying this one. Heads up, specifically for Smiley, but for anyone who needs it, there are heartbeats in this game, which I should probably add to the content warnings. Yeah, because we play spooky stuff, I do offer content warnings for every single game. This one unfortunately does not have listed content warnings. Is my mic quiet today? I know all of my settings got borked for no reason. Hold on a second.
Oh, jeez.
This is horrible. Why has no one said anything? Why did no one tell me? Why did no one say? Is this better? Did I fix it? I just want to sound normal.
Just yell.
Okay. I mean, I do already though. But I do yell. Okay. But yeah, like I said, we do offer content warnings for all the games that I play because I like to play spooky stuff, and there can be some pretty heavy topics every once in a while. There's nothing listed for this. So far it's been pretty mellow. Like I said though, specifically for Smiley, since I know it's something that you keep an eye out on, there are heartbeats in this one. So keep that in mind. And they are fairly consistent, unfortunately.
Heartbeat heavy this game.
Yeah. The first one wasn't, so I'm a little disappointed to see that they've implemented that in this one. But yeah, let me say hi to all the friends. Like Smiley, and Hags, and Mimi. Hello. And anyone else who came in on the raid. How's it going? How are you doing? But yeah, it's horror light. It's very mellow, all things considered, aside from the heartbeats. It's mostly puzzle solving with a sprinkling of ghosts chasing you. So, that's great. Like I said, I got not Smiley here. Oh my god. Reading and talking at the same time.
Hi, it's me. I'm Smiley. I've just done a cooking stream on twitch.tv / Smiley Fusion.
My brain is shot. I've already mentioned it a couple of times today. Today is a very high pain day for me, and my brain does not like functioning when I am in pain. But you know what? That's okay. I'm happy to
Oh,
be
jeez.
here. It's fine. Don't worry about it.
You just reminded me about Final Fantasy II, which is also bad.
That is also pain. But no, if y'all don't follow FruitySpruce, you should, because they're delightful and wonderful and just great person. And stream lots and do things other than Final Fantasy 2 usually. But you know, it's fine.
I have enjoyed specifically playing Final Fantasy II with Sylvie.
I
But the
imagine
game is awful.
I imagine if it was an experience with any like on your own without Sylvie there, it would
Yeah.
be hellish.
Yeah, I'd play for
but
5 minutes and then just delete it.
but at least it's hellish with friend. So you know, that's great. This is great. So yeah, like I said, we're playing Echo Knight. Echo Knight Beyond is cool. I would highly recommend people play the first Echo Knight. It's very good, and there are no heartbeats in that one either.
First Echo Knight, it absolutely slaps.
So good. It was so
Weird,
good.
cool, charming game.
Right? That was very good. I wonder actually, hold on. Is there a way for me to turn off? I imagine if I turn off the heartbeat, it would turn off everything, because it would be like sound effects, right? Yeah. This is tragic. Okay. Well, everyone has been duly warned. We're gonna go into a room. There's a ghost here. We will be freaking out. Don't even worry about it. Don't even worry about it. Please. Oh god. I'm gonna die again. We're gonna die.
No, we're gonna get 10 steps.
Oh! Yep, nope.
Well, some of the way there. This is... I like that the ghosts just kill you in this rather than kind of throwing you around a little bit, but...
Yeah.
not actually being that dangerous.
Yeah. Yeah, okay. I'm sorry, Smiley. Like I said, it is very heartbeat heavy, unfortunately, and it's but that's understandable, and I totally get it. No issues there. Thank you for bringing your friends over. I love you. Take care of yourself, and I will see you later. Yeah. All right. This is... I don't know that there's anywhere else that we can go, is the thing.
Yeah, I don't think so.
Because, like, these doors were locked. I guess we could go... There's the second basement that we could check out. Like, there was another floor with the lift that we haven't explored yet. So maybe we put this floor on hold. I have gone the wrong way. I have gone the wrong way. This is fine. Easy. Fixed it. Not even an issue. Why is anyone worrying about it? Don't even worry about it. Got our ghost kid asking for a piggyback.
He's not asking.
Okay, well, you're right.
He's getting that piggyback.
He said, "You will do this for me." I said, "I would rather not." Didn't care.
Why are we scared of lift?
Please insert key.
Okay.
Do we still have key? Do we have to do this every time we use the lift?
I hope not. I don't still have key.
Okay.
So I think it gave us permission to come to this floor?
Yeah.
Not the next one. How am I supposed to... Also, I read that as Biff Guide.
Biff Guide.
Biff Guide. There's the Fishly room on on the Biff Guide.
We can't tell where the ghosts are. It's the problem that we're having, I think.
Yeah.
And we keep walking into them because we can't tell where they are.
Because I have to be right on top of them to know that there's a ghost there. That's a bit of an issue. Like the thump of the ghost jumping onto our shoulders. Okay, so that room is locked. Is this room also locked? Yes.
It does. The next place the guide goes is the. Oh, hang on.
Hanging.
Depending on where the ghost may be, either head straight down the center or go left or right. Thank you, guide.
Yeah, no shit, guide!
Go one of the directions, depending on where the invisible enemies are.
Is this in the vegetable room?
Yep.
Okay. Oops. Oops. Oops.
Have we tried using the force to sense the invisible enemies?
I haven't given it a try yet. No.
Search your feelings.
I don't wanna.
Use the force. I think we're scared enough that there's a ghost here.
Yeah.
This works. We can just leave if he starts to die, I guess.
Yeah, it's just annoying and frustrating, and I don't want to do it.
I think they have like a set patrol path that you can see on the camera, but then you can't see them in real, so you don't know where they are on the patrol path.
Yeah.
Not a fan of this.
No. Not like even entirely sure where I'm supposed to go in there.
I think we just got through to the other side.
Okay. Case.
You need to get to the door at the other end.
Why is my heart rate going up? Why are you going up?
Stop getting scared. Nothing is happening, man. He's just being a weirdo.
Yeah. I think 81 is like what it's usually at. But
yeah,
also
but sometimes
it
goes down to 70.
Yeah. I don't know. I don't know.
It's just got a weird hat.
Why is your heart so weird? If I just stand here for a while. Does the light make a difference? No.
It's just a weirdo.
Yes.
Oh. I'm confused.
Same.
Doing heart science.
I turn the light off. Doesn't matter. None of this matters. Okay. Why is man? Like, just why is?
So can you make your hat behave, please?
No.
Oh, here. This
just
works.
run?
Yeah, you
What if I
just go
just
straight
run?
down the middle.
What if we just say, let's not be bothered with any of this and just go? Yeah, give me that battery. What if we're an android? And we only think we're a person. And we're only made
That
to think
also-
that we have a heart.
We just have to pretend to die if we get too scared.
Yeah. No, that's small burner emergency food tin rests on top of it. Computer monitors, great.
Eat the food to prove you're not a robot. Or a ghost. Eat the food and then look at the floor to see if there's a big mound of food on it.
Perfect. Key storage. Greenhouse key. The word greenhouse is written on the tag attached to the key.
Nice.
Please remember to return all the keys after using them. I'm not gonna. I'm gonna use this key and I'm gonna throw it.
Please insert employee ID card.
Carden.
ID
Just
verified.
Carden.
Ventilating system activated.
Pardon. We've cleared out the ghosts. I think. For a moment at least.
Seems like they're fairly easy to get rid of. It's just
A pain in
you
the ass.
probably
to...
die on the way trying to work out where you're going a couple of times.
Yeah.
Because they kill you very quickly.
So bad. Can I turn these on now? Oh! Oh! That seems...
Well, that's why that's not working.
Ghost? I heard Ghost Child. Thought I heard Ghost Child. Hey, battery.
Probably are around somewhere, but they're probably cold now? Question mark?
A little less aggressive at the very least.
I can definitely still hear the horrible ghosts. Oh.
What am I helping you find? Is it the stuffed animal that you want? Okay, I need to get into the greenhouse.
We have key now.
I do have key now. Is this the monitor room? I want to double check that where I saw that stuffed animal is in the greenhouse. Before we fully set off. You know how it is.
Makes sense.
Passage, plant.
I remember one of the bits where the cameras are all gooped.
Yeah. No. Not that one. It's in here, isn't it? This is where it's all goopy. Yeah.
Yeah, someone near camera too. On top of some goop.
Yeah. Okay, hold on.
Can we find the cameras and clean them?
Maybe. So we've got one at the front entrance, and then 2 and 3 just diagonal of that.
So
They're
we'll
all
be
towards...
off to the left, I think, from
Yeah.
where you come in. Yeah.
Yeah. They're all close to the entrance door. This works.
I don't know where that was, like, in relation to anything in the room. Could be, like, on top of something or something?
In here?
Oh, is it in the tanks?
Yeah, there it is.
Yeah, that's a problem.
Just a bit.
Well, we found it, if you...
There's the camera. It's very high up.
Yeah, we can't clean that.
However, can I use this? Automatic monitoring. Can I use the key on this? Yeah, I can.
Switching to manual control. Please
Oh
set
no.
tray arrangement.
I want... Oh.
Is this a slider puzzle?
It's okay, I know what I'm doing.
Okay.
Because this top left one was where...
Oh, yeah, I think you got it.
And then... do that. Oh,
What?
okay, then maybe I'll do it this way.
Just one broke randomly? That's horrible.
There.
Oh, you got this under control.
Easy peasy. Done. How do I get you, buddy? Hey, pal?
Is there a open button?
Oh, Ben.
Way!
We did it! That was a very easy slider puzzle, honestly. You just needed to know where the lion was in relation to everything.
Yeah, it didn't need to. Only one of the pieces needed to be in a specific spot.
Yeah. I can work with that. Here, kids. I got you your silly little lion. I got it. You didn't do shit! Fucking kids. Who is this Jacob? Do you think Android is Jacob?
Possibly. You might be right.
I just want to know who Android is, so anytime I hear a new name, I'm just like, is this Android?
Am I Jacob? This is fine and normal. Don't worry about it.
It definitely drops to 30 frames anytime they all light up, as opposed to 60 frames. It's fine.
This run at 60?
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah. Fun fact. Yes. Alright. So we... Oh, I didn't check to see if the kids dropped anything. Glad I didn't get very far before remembering that. Does not appear that anything was dropped. Okay.
PS2 has a few games that just run at a smooth 60 and it was fine and it wasn't an issue, and then Xbox 360 era, everyone's like, well, the human eye can only see 30 frames. I'm not a big frame rate guy, but with certain games it does make a difference.
Yeah, it does. Yeah, it's I don't know, my usual thing with it is as long as it doesn't impede what I'm doing, then it's fine. But there are lots of games where it's like I actually need all 60 of those frames.
Yeah, I was talking to Nem earlier. On frame rates, you cannot play a fighting game,
Mm-hmm.
like Street Fighter at 30 frames. Cannot be done.
Mm-hmm.
Nem also thinks you can't play racing games at 30 frames.
I
don't play that many racing games, but I can see it.
I was gonna say, I think like there's some that you could get away with, but like I can definitely see like a majority of them being like, you have to. You have to have all 60 of them. Yeah, and like there are some like that have like I don't know, you need that precision. No frame skip in here, alright? Listen.
Normally it just feels slightly nicer and it's just nice. But there's someone who plays like PS1 games all the time that I'll run in at like 20.
Yeah, I think there's, again, like there are some where it's like, I generally don't give a shit. It's fine. It's whatever. But there are plenty of times where it's like, no, I need that. Thank you for the hydrate, boss.
Yeah, people get mad about like weird things not running at the frame rate they want.
Right.
Like does a turn-based RPG need to run at 60? Probably not.
No.
That's probably fine.
No.
The animations would be a little smoother, but it's fine.
Doesn't matter. It doesn't impede what you're doing. There's a ghost here, isn't there? Why did my helmet just jiggle? Oh.
I've only played Dark Souls 1 on the Xbox 360. 30 FPS. Oh wait, no, I did play the PS4 version recently and you saw.
Yeah. I don't know. I like my Souls games to have higher frames.
Yeah.
But that's because it's very precise. Any game that requires like quick precision, like
It just feels like slightly more responsive, right? Like
Mhm.
I don't know. It's hard to explain, but when you're playing a game that does have at least 60 frames, it does feel just a touch more responsive. Obviously, it's like your inputs are getting processed twice as often.
Yeah. Sorry, I'm trying to think of where we're supposed to go now, because
Yeah, sorry. I was worrying about frames.
no, it's fine. I just realized that I was focusing on the conversation, then I wandered back here and was like, what am I doing? I like it. I like the weird conversations that happen. Keep it up. That thing you're doing, do that. Oh.
So what you're doing is really cool. Makes sense now.
Dudley's the man that wanted his flask. Marcel and Carol are the daughter and the man. Nikolai Ivanov, he knew his name. He knew his whole name. He wasn't solid on it, but it was his name.
Come remember when Nikolai or Ivanov, it was both.
Also, Katerina and Katrina, are you shitting me right
Horrible.
now? Are you Who? I'm gonna find these kids' parents and beat them. Why would they do
You have
that to
something
their
that you're looking
kids?
for, right? Maybe I can
My
help you out. Come back here from
God.
time to time.
I've come back from time to time.
The
and
guy
look.
did say that sometimes he'll put syringes on the table that you can heal with, like the terrible healing syringes that suck.
Oh. The true terror of this game is
Bad
Katrina
parents.
and Katerina. Terrible. Horrible. Also, is your hair in a ponytail, or is it just kind of slicked back? It looks like it's kind of just... No, it's a ponytail! It's just phased into your back!
By being an android.
Yeah. Is that where they hide the wires?
It's where it plugs in, yeah.
Aren't George Foreman's kids all, like, various forms of George? Like, Georgina and...
I thought they were just
Yeah.
George.
Are they just George?
The girl Georges and the boy Georges are all just George.
Oh god, why would you do that? Just all
Not
George.
various. He wants
Imagine
it to be easy to remember.
No, imagine being so I don't want to say like I don't know how I want to phrase this.
He got punched in the head a lot. He just wants it to be easy and simple.
I guess. It's just like oh 6 of them in the house though. Imagine sitting there being like, George! And they all 6 of them come running. Oh my god. I would immediately change my name. Immediately change my name. Oh, Lord. Okay,
Instantly change your name to whatever.
Literally
George
anything.
Foreman likes least. Just to spy him.
Oh my goodness.
There is kind of a cool puzzle. It involves the horrible child who keeps climbing on her head.
Oh no. Alright, let's go back. Let's go hang out with the horrible child. My name is now Qbert.
That do it. Fucking hit Cuba.
I wanna... Where the fuck is the elevator? Where's the lift gone?
Where is lift? Powerful question.
I have misplaced the lift. I need help.
Was it through the?
Was it the bad hallway?
Yeah, well, wasn't it?
Yes. Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. This is fine. I got lost. This is fine. I need to take some allergy meds. That's some of what's distracting me right now.
My allergies have been pretty bad today. I was worried I'd be sneezing all stream.
Sometimes you gotta.
Sometimes you got.
Yep. This. And then over there. No. Yes? No. No. No.
Somewhere. I believe in lift.
There we go.
Yeah.
I told myself it was on the left, but it was only on the left coming out of the renovation room. It's not left when you're coming into the... Okay, it's fine. Hey, I have to pee again? Because I've drunk so much water?
At least you're dinking your eye.
I am dinking my oiter. Literally, it will just be a minute. I'm not even gonna, like, start words on stream for all of us. I have to go pee right now. So BRB. You can keep talking.
Too while we're taking a break.
I was gonna say, you're welcome to keep talking to everyone, but I gotta go. Got old lady bladder. BRB.
I'm gonna go as well. I got the opportunity. Everyone entertain yourself for a minute. Thanks for the jelly boys now. That'll help.
Literally, the longest... Oh, welcome back! I was gonna say, the longest part of that entire excursion was washing my hands. I had to pee. I can't help it.
I went to go get my water.
Good! Think your oiter.
I'm dinking.
Good. I'm glad you're dinking. Need everyone to dink some oiter, please. Usually I'm good for just like one bathroom break during a regular stream. But I don't know, I've had enough water and my one soda that I was just like, I gotta bye.
And none of us is cops, it's fine. You can take as many bathroom breaks as you need.
I don't know about that. It's the cops thing, not the...
I forgot I was a cop. Of course.
Okay. Child.
There he is. He's found you.
How do we... I go into the bath. Both of the bathrooms have broken mirrors, right?
Possibly?
I want to see my little friend. Little friend? Let me see you. Unless this is some weird game of red light, green light. Yeah. What if he's a chunky baby?
Is there enough mirror here to look at Chunky Baby?
Why is his laugh different now?
That's weird.
You leading me somewhere. Gonna do a thing, kid? Child, do you need to pee?
Does Ghost pee? Can we flush the Ghost?
I
I
don't
think
want to.
this is the... Don't want to flush him.
I don't want to flush the ghost.
To resolve the Ghost situation.
Yeah, but I kind of like our buddy. He's sort
Me
of
too.
sort of warmed up to him. I didn't lift that.
Maybe Ghost Baby went to the loo.
We doing better, baby.
We're gonna have so many fingerprints on a helmet.
Honestly, it's gonna be so smudged.
It's gonna be a nightmare.
Okay.
I think you were roughly on the right track earlier, but I think we're in the wrong bathroom.
Okay. At this point, it just ended up me being like, his laugh is different. Maybe he's leading me somewhere. We'll go to the other bathroom.
Well, the cleaner was in that one, I think, but
Oh, I see.
so maybe he does do a different laugh to keep you in the room longer, so you take a look around. This looks broken.
Mirror has been removed.
Where is Mirror?
This sink is filthy. Don't. No. Wait. No.
Don't get a lion in the coop. We find Mirror? Is the Mirror here somewhere?
If not, there was some mirror in the other one. Unless I need it, please. Okay, let's go back to the other one because there was at least bits of
It
a
says
mirror
examine the mirror over the sink. This is weird.
in the men's bathroom.
And the ladies.
Okay, this was the men's restroom.
I'm telling you to do it wrong is what's happening.
It's okay.
You got it right. I just made it take longer with my help.
You know what? That's
It is hard to tell that there's apparently enough mirror here to do anything with.
Yeah. Well, and it's so weird because it's, again, you have to like hover over things for it to tell you about it. Are we?
Do we? Oh, that's the part with mirror.
Yeah. Okay. Okay, I understand. We are giving him a piggyback.
Oh yeah.
Oh, I love this kid. Are you Jacob? Hey, come back.
Yeah, that's a good dance. Do we have any
Wow.
obvious signs of being a robot or ghost?
I mean, can't really see our face.
No. That's what the helmet's for.
I do love active reflections in old games, though. Because most just opt out to not do them.
It's a surprisingly good one, honestly. It looks less goofy than in Boss.
Right? Like it. So...
Where did baby go?
Oh, hey. No, I want to listen to your dialogue. Oh.
It's not important anymore.
Oh. I'll give you a piggyback anytime you want, buddy.
Hey, did you meet my sisters? They're over there. I want to go home. What are they doing? They're always like this. Selfish. Both of them.
Isn't that how most active reflections work, though? Like, they...
No, it's like really hard to actually make a reflection in a...
Yeah, so, I mean, I think... that was my understanding, that, like, most active reflections were either, like, some weird pixelated nonsense that isn't really actually a reflection, but most of them are just, like, a little room on the other side of the mirror with, like, another character model that matches your movements but is mirrored. I thought that's how that usually worked.
That was certainly for, like, PS2.
Mm-hmm. I mean, I'm sure that they
even
do
just
it a different
games
way
of
now.
this era that were on PC.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, I knew Cyberpunk only generates reflections when you interact with a mirror, which is a very clever way of not having to deal with reflections all the time. Not that it helped Cyberpunk at all, because, you know, it still crashed every 10 seconds. Let me just forget how to breathe. Kid, I want you to stop talking. I didn't mean to continue to do a dialogue with you.
Cyberpunk only generates reflections when you interact with a mirror. However, it generates every tree in the universe and it leaves them constantly visible through all of the scenery.
Yes. But it's saving on resources by not loading in the clothing of the NPCs as well.
Okay, I'll do it.
I need to finish Cyberpunk. I did enjoy it, as fucking goofy as it was. I was also just one of those people who didn't purchase it for full price and waited.
Yeah, bought it because you thought it was going to be funny rather than you thought it was going to be good.
Yeah. I like how the ghosts have mouths that are vaguely animated. Just flapping.
Yeah, I actually really do like that. I mean, he's definitely a sock puppet.
But there are, like, 3 distinct, like, facial animations in there. There's, like, the closed mouth, open mouth, and then, like a circular mouth. It's cool.
They do look cool.
Mm-hmm. Richard was old man. I think. Hold on a second.
I didn't think so, but I could be wrong.
Or was Richard dad? Hold on.
Is lady with broken legs yelling for Richard, who was the dude there?
Maybe they're just
the feet lady. Is that who we're talking about?
Maybe. Possibly. Give me the plot. Richard was our character.
Oh, okay.
We were Richard.
Hmm.
Okay, I knew there was a Richard. Just couldn't remember who was a Richard. That
He dropped
seems
something on the floor.
yeah. Thank you. As I was walking away, that I realized level 1 keycard.
We have options now.
Now I need to know where all the level 1s are. Hey, there's one right here. No, we can't be George. Everyone else can be George, though. Or, conversely, we can name everyone else Richard as well. Oh no.
We can change our name to Cuba.
Monitor room.
Wait.
Beautiful.
I like monitor rooms being like a safe place where you can play with the computers.
Yeah. Again, just a good reprieve from the spook. Fisheries. It's the
We're in the Fishley labs.
No, Fishley.
Fishley.
Nothing on that side. That's horrifying. I think that's just a shutter, but the fact that it is just dark kind of worries me. Nothing in the Fishley control room. What about the Fishley station? There are 4 cameras in here. And a ghost. Whoa! Whoa! There's something at the bottom of the tank. That was cool.
What's cool? No, I appreciate they didn't do like a loud sting or anything when he jumped on the camera.
Whoa!
He just wiggles all of them. He's real mad.
Doesn't want to be looked at. Okay, well, while he's doing that with that camera. Yeah, again, like, I appreciate the jump scares in this game. Because they aren't usually, like, even if there is a sound with it, they're not usually ear-piercingly loud.
Yeah.
It's just a little jump, and then you move on. I don't really see... Yeah?
Just hanging out in the coop.
All
This
right,
is still
so
in the same fog room, right?
yeah.
Hmm.
He's like in one of these tanks. I think he's in this one.
That's weird.
Yeah, the noise is there to bring your attention to the jump scare. The noise itself ends up being the jump scare usually, and it shouldn't be.
This is all the food we have left.
Hey, that's Android Buddy.
I see. Don't mention this to anyone. We'll still mine as planned.
Director, our company will
Eat the moon's
this
cheese.
facility...
I'm confused. Why is this a problem?
No,
You're on the moon.
They've eaten all the cheese on the moon.
It's just nothing left. They're just flying in space.
It's all they've gotten to the layer of the moon that is all just bad cheese.
Haven't you been listening?
It's all the moldy shit.
Since we started using the redstone, so many people...
Silence!
The redstone's back.
Oh dang!
The stone saved this facility and brought success with it. That stone granted my wish. That gives me hope.
But does that give anyone else
Don't
hope?
worry. Everything will be all right.
We can confirm that this is linked to the first game.
Yeah. It's cool that it, like, spans over, like, a century, because the first one took place in, like, the early 1900s, didn't it?
Yeah? Yeah, it's been about 100 years.
Yeah. What are you doing, bud? Just sitting over there going, why? Why?
Why, machine? Why are you broken?
Sometimes machine just says nah. Nothing here.
We're gonna have to go back and see what happened in the second game that the redstone ended up on the moon.
Right? Please, I need to know. Gravity control. Anything? Oh. Yeah. Yeah, right there. Thought System Con. Thought for a second it was just the glow from the computer screen. Why is... Oh, that's a cat tail. I was like, why is there a tentacle here? It's just a cat. We're not
It's
worried.
We're gonna have to find the ghost of a cat. What would you do to cheer a ghost cow?
Depends on the cat. If it's a cat like Devo, you just gotta say its name. If it's a cat like Lamia, you will never appease it. It's bad breathing though. There's a thing under there.
Yep.
Which room is this? Gravity training room?
Yeah.
Excuse me?
Says at the top.
Yeah. Yeah. Ghost? I heard somebody sigh. Go. Yeah, like that.
If we told them no yawns.
Hey, ghost. No yawns. This is a yawn-free zone. He is just going like, repeatedly, and I need him to stop. Can't see him. That's unfortunate. Okay, so gravity control room seems like a good place to go eventually. And then food storage and the fisheries. There are a lot of ghosts in that area.
The Fishley labs are real bad right now.
Yeah, specifically the Fishley station. Control room, not so much, but that is on the other side of
Probably
the
where
Fishley
we're
station.
supposed to get to in it.
Possibly. But there was stuff in the gravity training. I don't know if we can access it just yet.
Can we turn the gravity off and levitate past the ghost?
Does gravity affect ghosts?
No, but obviously if they're walking around on the ground, they haven't realized yet that gravity doesn't affect them.
Good point, good point. Okay, let's try the gravity rooms first. Because they are closer and I trust them. That's vegetables. This is bathrooms. This is Fishley Labs. Which is also a level 1. I'll go ahead and unlock it.
Access granted.
But we will not go through just yet. Okay, maybe the gravity rooms weren't closer. But I I don't think I can go in there just yet, but I want to make sure. Oh, I can! Okay, great.
Access granted.
Great! Let's go in here. There are fewer ghosts to mess around with in here, and I like that. Nothing happened, the door is locked. Okay. Great. What is this? Control room. Why was our heart rate so high?
You were getting a little spooked in the last room, and I'm not sure why.
Weird. Collar. That looks like a key on that collar.
It said a key was attached to it.
Oh. It helps to read the entire thing, I guess.
It's pretty blatant about the key.
Good.
This is
Good.
fun.
That.
Plus, it's falling apart. Good thing we're a ghost or possibly robot.
Low battery!
Oh no.
This is horrible. Well, what am I supposed to do about it, game? Also. I do like the workaround for not being able to crouch. You can interact with everything. Why are we sighing again?
There was that one place where the thing rolled under the seat, but... Oh, there is...
This...
No, next bank, like 3 along.
Ah!
Yellow thing. How do we...
Got it. Chocolate coin.
Eat the chocolate coin.
Where is that ghost? Or is he just sighing, and that's what's freaking us out?
Is he in the walls?
Might be.
Like the lady from the Cloverfield Paradox. Wall lady. He's in there, isn't he?
He's probably in there. Also, not wall lady. He's just hanging out. Doing whatever.
Just kind of sighing.
Yeah.
Or yawning.
A little bit of A, a little bit of B. Okay, so we have a chocolate coin and a collar with a key.
Yeah, so we combine the two, and then...
And then we have a messy key.
We make a cast of the key out of chocolate. And then we mix the chemicals to make a resin mold of the key. And then we have 2 of the same key.
Oh jeez. I read that as taco, not tack 8. What is this doing?
Fish tacos?
Yes, please. Ah! Ah! No! It's fine.
Oh wait, no, it goes up to 300, doesn't it?
Yeah. We're fine.
Not even close.
It's horrible. This is horrible. Okay,
To our control room at the other side, right? Maybe we just try and run through and turn off the...
yeah.
Or turn on the fan.
Yeah, you're right. You're right. Alright, let's go.
I don't look at the guide for that, so I don't know 100% that we can get there.
No, that's fine. Ah, sir! I'm trying to run past you!
Very rude.
Stopped it at 308. Okay, nope, I've exploded.
If you
This
use
is
the
a-
medkit, it keeps you alive for like 0.8 of a second.
Sometimes that's all you need. This was not one of those times. I have to go back and get the key and the chocolates.
Oh, jeez, sorry.
No, it's okay. I should have turned around when I couldn't get past the man, but it was also very difficult to tell that I couldn't get past the man. Because my vision went black.
From now on, we'll have to assume that all ghosts are very wide and take up the whole corridor they're in.
Honestly. Horrible. Terrible. Awful. Okay, how do I get back to the gravity room?
This is the food room.
Think so? Hey, Ghost, are you aggressive?
This is good science.
Yeah, he is. I can't turn around very quickly. I'm gonna explode again.
Why would have made it if it hadn't gone black? Oh,
As long as I
nice.
don't look at them, it's fine. Okay, I'm confused. It's fine. We didn't die, so you know, it's great.
Was important science. I think it's now safe to assume that any ghost in a fog room is a bad ghost.
Yeah. Yeah. Agreed. Okay, let's... Oh, I'll insert. Sorry. Sorry. Didn't...
Good grief.
It's not...
My monocle popped out.
I didn't mean it like that. I could save before trying, but that also means I would have to go back to a save spot. Blech. Nobody wants to do that. Also, what time is it?
We're getting
22.
close to the end.
We are... Okay.
I think we can save and then have another shot at the...
Oh! Oh, he's just floating there. With his things.
Just chilling.
He's just having a good old time. Okay, let's go back in here. Let's go back into the
Yawning
laundry.
He always said he'd sleep when he was dead, and now he's got the chance, and he can't get to sleep. It's horrible.
Terrible. Terrible. Poor buddy. Oh, stop. Yes, save. I wonder if the batteries stack or if they immediately...
Yeah, it's hard to
are
tell. If they...
used. Sorry.
Well, I think it's using them, but it's like... I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know.
It should let you use them manually if it's gonna...
Or, like, list how many I have. I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't like it. Gone now. Batter guy on that is.
Access granted.
Okay.
Maybe when you save, it fills your battery?
Oh, maybe.
Would be nice.
We would like that.
Would
be
mean
a
you'd
thing.
never load a save without a torch.
Right? Nope. Door? Door. 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 Door.
But where is control room?
Door. I'm gonna
We were
explode.
close, but it was completely black down there.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't like the actual, like, running away from ghost parts of this one.
No.
They did a
they
bad job with that.
they had a good system in the first one.
Yeah.
Why'd we change it? Why did we change it? Okay, I'm willing to give it one more try, and then if it doesn't work, then we'll probably call it here?
Fair.
I still like this.
Remember, you don't gain battery when you do that.
Just...
Yeah, I like everything except the parts where the ghosts are there, and you have to run past them.
It's like, even that wouldn't necessarily be so bad if it didn't, just get rid of the heartbeat. I do find myself getting incredibly annoyed, not just at this game, but like all games nowadays. Anytime there's bad heartbeat sounds. It's like you didn't, I guess like I'm more willing to accept it in this one because it's, you know, older, whatever. But making the screen go black? Bad.
That's horrible.
Bad choice. Why did they do that?
Probably to try and make it harder to run past the ghosts, but it doesn't give you a better option than running past the ghosts, because
Right?
you can't see where they are unless you're on the camera, and then you can't run past them.
Right?
Really? I thought you were gonna get there.
I found it. It doesn't matter. Boy, howdy. Yeah, the whole making your screen go dark thing. Not great. Give me that battery.
Oh.
No, no! Give me! Please.
I think the torch is brighter when you have good battery.
Yeah.
I think that's what it does.
Okay. That's fair. It's honestly not even that dim when the battery starts going out. So I'm not too upset about that. Alright, that should clear out the smoke. What is that? Holding chain control system. It's password protected.
I like that the ghosts have been fairly easy to resolve.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, it's got all the different fish.
Yeah.
We got sea bream.
It's like that part in Our Flag Means Death when when he just starts listing off all the fish. Buttons is just like got
Buns is my hero.
I fucking love Buttons. I love Buttons so much. So good. Okay, wait.
Oh, we're getting a little spooked. There's probably a ghost near us.
Yeah, there's the buddy in the tank.
Oh, yeah.
But I'm trying to figure out how to unlock this. And then there's the dude that, I mean, he's probably not walking around now, but there is a guy that walks around.
Yeah.
So where is he gone?
I kind of like that the heart rate goes up a little bit to tell you there's a ghost near you if it's a nice ghost.
Yeah.
I mean, in general, it'd be nice if it wasn't, you know, a heart rate at all.
Like there's other sounds that they could choose, but it is a neat system for like acknowledging when a ghost is about. It's neat.
If he's gonna be like doing all the breaths all the time anyway, could do like suddenly his breath's like cold and it's collecting on the helmet.
Right? Look, that would also resolve the like dark screen thing. Like that would impede your vision, but it wouldn't necessarily like keep you from fully being able to see. What did I do? What have I done here?
You generally could just have the ghost hurt you and you have regenerating health if they want a system where you don't need health potions or whatever.
Right. Again, I'm willing to be a
just
little
have
more
them
lenient.
push you around a bit still.
Yeah!
It won't work before.
Right. Yeah. I'm willing to be a little more lenient with this one, just because it came out in 2004, and like we were absolutely not nearly as cognizant of anything.
No, yeah. There weren't. I mean, the first game has weirdly good accessibility options, but it wasn't like a thing that were widely done
Yeah, and so it's like I can
or
kind
widely
of.
thought about. We're still in the era where the only like, as far as anyone knows, only like teenage boys play video games.
Yeah.
Able-bodied teenage boys.
Yeah. So yeah, it's like, I mean, if this were like a game that just like came out this last year or something, I'd be like, y'all could do better. But considering it's not horrible, I just, like I said, I like find myself like getting annoyed at how often that's like the default notification for games. It's like you can choose other noises.
Yeah.
We'll go ahead and save, because I have no idea what I'm supposed to do at the moment. And we only have 10 minutes anyhow. But this is a good spot for us to pick up tomorrow.
Yeah.
Yeah. You don't get to watch anymore.
Oh.
You don't get to watch anymore.
That's tragic.
Bye. But we just know that we have to do stuff in the Fishly labs. In fact, I'm gonna send that to you. So that I can't say that I have no reason to remember. But it's fish. I will fucking remember.
Do we have to go fishlying?
No fishly. No
No
fishlying.
fishlying.
No fishlying, please. My god, my screen is incredibly bright. I have a screenshot from Elden Ring as my background, and oh boy, it is very bright. Okay, there we go. So yeah, we'll do more of this tomorrow. I'm excited. I'm not as impressed with this one as the first one, but it's hard to follow how good the first one is. I do like this though.
I really like the atmosphere.
Yeah.
And I really like the cameras. Just the ghosts.
Yeah. I'm hoping that maybe as we play more and as I get more acclimated to what they expect from us, that I'll be able to handle that a little better. But it's just, again, like, between how aggressive they are, the fact that I can't see them until they're right on us,
Yeah.
and then the fact that my camera goes black when I start panicking makes it very difficult to deal with them.
We could, like, watch the cameras and learn the patrol routes and try and work out where they're least likely to be, but we don't know where they're going to be when we actually get to the room.
Yeah.
And we don't know, like, even if we know where they're least likely to be, we don't know that they won't be there, because they seem to have pretty good coverage.
And honestly, that sounds like a lot of, like, wasted effort.
Yeah, a lot of
there's
extra
so many...
steps if we then just get killed anyway, because they're where they are statistically least likely to be, and then the screen goes black.
Still not a non-zero chance. Yeah.
You just run past and save yourself the effort.
Right, though. I think I had a thought and it's gone. It's fine. No, it's on it. It was there up until I started trying to speak, and then my brain was like, no. I was like, okay, that's fine. But yeah, I really like the atmosphere. It was really cool being on the ship and having like the change of days. I really liked that. The fact that there was like an active in-game clock was really cool.
Yeah.
And having the ship just kind of like be out at sea was, I don't know, I liked it, but I like this whole, I'm also just a fan of like claustrophobic sort of situations in video games. I don't know, there's something about it that especially for like horror games, it definitely like makes it more intense and whatever. And so I really like, and space is just cool, okay? I like space. Yeah, I don't know. I like it. We'll see how it goes. Yeah, I do miss the voice acting from the other one. I think they're I don't want to say taking it more seriously, but definitely trying a little different. But I liked the I was here and then I died, and it just was bizarre and cool.
I liked the ghost better in the first one. It was like whatever they were thinking of at the moment they died was the one thought that like carried on forever.
Right? Yeah, I really dug that.
Yeah.
But yeah. So we'll do more of this tomorrow. I am excited to play more of it. Shall we? I could have been this entire time could have been finding someone for us to raid, and I just didn't because I'm thinking about Echo Knight. We also haven't had any characters that have done the silly little laugh, and that's sad.
That's weird.
Did
they forget?
They couldn't have. It's
Could
gotta
they not
happen
translate
at some point.
the chuckles from Japanese? I don't understand.
I want the to come back, please. All right. Shall we? I'm gonna make an executive decision. We're gonna go raid dot level because it's their birthday stream.
Oh, nice.
And anytime anybody's doing a birthday stream, we gotta go say hello. That's just the done thing, I think.
Aaron, go say hi to Dot. She's amazing.
Dot is
plays old-timey games.
Yeah.
Really likes FF2, but don't talk about FF2. Like, genuinely really enjoys it.
This doesn't surprise me about her. She likes goofy stuff. She's delightful, though. So yeah, we're gonna go say hi to Dot. There are our raid messages if you're gonna come along. I just got an ad for The Boys, and I'm so excited for the next season. Oh god, okay, moving on. Go say hi to Dot. We'll be back tomorrow. I love y'all. Take care. Yeah, I don't know. I guess I should probably, like, start the raid. I am so not here and ready to do anything, my god.
Fine, you almost got through it.
Whoa!
Right at the end. You're gonna make it.
Oh boy. Alright. Yeah, we'll see everyone later. Say goodbye, Fruity.
Bye, Fruity.
Great. Perfect. Bye, friends!